Good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Man, I enjoyed the basketball so much last night. What a game. I watched a little bit of the baseball. When it got to 5-0, it made it easier for me to commit to just basketball. I was doing the bit where I had basketball on the TV, baseball on my old laptop whose screen is kind of cracked. So they were like, hey, you could sell it, but you'd only get a little bit of money because people had. So I just kept it and I just basically use it as a screen because it's only a little corner. That's the problem. I had the baseball game on that while I had the basketball game on the TV, and I knew, and Rita and I were talking about it when we were on 105.7 last night, I knew that I was going to be more enticed by the basketball game than I was going to be by the baseball game, but I figured I would try to do as much of a 50-50 split. And when it went to 5-0, I was like, yep, I think I'm good. And I was far more committed at that point at basketball the rest of the night. And I'm glad I made such a decision because it turned out to be great. Pretty remarkable for Vegas. Tough night, tough series for Breanna Stewart. Tough night. But pretty impressive. Vegas down a lot of players to Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum. It's a hell of a team, man. They are so loaded out there. As they won a second straight title, came down the wire, and Vandersloot still got a great look from the corner at the end. And I guess if there's 2 seconds more in that game, New York wins at the buzzer, and they force a Game 5. But not the case, as Vegas wins the series 3-1. Just awesome basketball. By the way, how good is Holly Rowe? That was the other thing about last night's broadcast. Holly Rowe is so underrated among broadcasters. Damn, she is good and entrenched and has such great relationships. You can tell how well she's liked, and she knows exactly where to go with questioning afterwards. She's awesome, too. But that was thrilling. The baseball was not thrilling. Remember, Josh Young tried to make it interesting. I think the question, as far as moving forward is concerned, is can Max Scherzer find it before the playoffs are over? If he can't, the Rangers might still have enough. I assume they let him go ahead and pitch again. If somehow this series gets to 7 games, I assume they go ahead and no. Yeah, he would pitch Game 7 because they're going to use Dunning after Heaney, right? They'll use
tomorrow's Dunning or
today
tonight,
is Heaney, right?
Yeah,
tonight's Heaney.
Unless Heaney,
so,
I don't know. It's just
what?
There was 3 pitches an inning or something. But
what do you mean?
Unless Heaney just is cruising, kind of almost like he was against
the
Orioles.
You're saying that they wouldn't go to Dunning at that point?
Yeah.
I guess that's possible.
But it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't seem likely.
I would assume that they line this back up.
Yeah, it would likely be.
They would be willing to go to I guess the interesting part would be, was it so bad last night that they now have to reconsider what they do in Game 7 if it gets there? And I don't know if it's going to get there. I have no idea. But as we talked about when it was 2-0 in that series and 1-0 in the NLCS, I thought one of those series was over, and I didn't think it was this one because this is still the Houston Astros that we're talking about. This is – I get it. Offensively, coming into last night, Yordan Alvarez was the only guy that was producing at all, and then all of a sudden everyone was producing last night. All of a sudden you couldn't get anybody out, and that's the Astros. That's how it works. You can hold them in check for a couple of games, and then all of a sudden they remind you they're the Astros. So is it series on? Obviously, Houston has to win one of the next 2 games in order to make sure that it gets back to Houston. But if it does, if they can somehow get it to 3-2 and go back to Houston, you're telling me that they can't win that? Yeah, it's series on. And even if Texas were to win the night, all they got to do is win one more. They got to win 1 of 2 in Dallas now in order to make it a series. So, I don't know, I very much think that series is still alive, that series is still up for grabs, and this was the reason why I understood that the it's funny. What are the odds? How did the Superbook change it? Just because the Astros won last night here. Let's find that out.
see.
Astros win one game, and I wonder what it does to even the World Series odds, how much they change just by one win.
Do you see it yet?
It's not as significant as I thought it would be.
I mean,
the Rangers moved from what they were 125 yesterday to 135 to 195. The Astros are still sitting at plus 440. It moves, but
help the Diamondbacks.
Where were they?
They were at 1855.
So they're at 1850 now. I'm going to guess that was one bet. Maybe that moved that. Those odds from Superbook.com. You can go right now to Superbook.com, download the Superbook app, use the code GlennClark23 when you sign up. And when you do, you'll receive a same-day first bet match up to $250, win or lose. Again, with Superbook.com or download the Superbook app. The series, the ALCS, is now Astros just plus 190. That's why I'm surprised about the World Series prices. That series is now Rangers minus 240, Astros plus 190, which almost indicates to you that they would lean towards the ALCS winner. Maybe that's because of the home field advantage thing. But didn't we say the Phillies would have home field advantage over the Astros?
Yes.
So that doesn't really make sense. I mean, it does.
So that's why the Philly or the Astros World Series odds
didn't crumble too much, is because in this scenario they still would have the advantage. I wonder if that's my dad. I don't know who that would be calling in here at the start of the show just to say hello at 10:08 in the morning. I don't know who that would be. But yeah, I guess that might be the reason for that. I guess. I don't know that, but I guess it might be. Game 4 of the NLCS. Game 4 of the ALCS is tonight. Game 3 of the NLCS is the afternoon game today. So they're back to 2 games a day. Today, NLCS first, ALCS later. They did the opposite thing earlier in the week. They will switch it up tonight for the MLB playoffs as they continue. As far as the Ravens are concerned and what we learned yesterday, the good news, Odafe Owe back on the practice field. And particularly in the context of could the Ravens end up making a trade at the deadline and whether or not edge rush is going to be considered, it would be nice for them probably to get Odafe Owe back on the field for a few games and get a more complete picture of everything they have edge rush-wise and whether or not it makes sense. I will continue to say, even though they are tied for the NFL lead in sacks, even though they had this tremendous game against the Titans on Sunday, they padded stats at the end of that game, which doesn't mean they're desperate in the department. They've definitely gotten more from Jadeveon Clowney, and you'll hear segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show with Jadeveon Clowney later on in the program. Tyus Bowser Show brought to you by A.J. Michaels, Superbook Sports, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. We'll be back November 7th for the next Tyus Bowser Show back at Guilford Hall Brewery, so don't come out on Halloween. Well, you can go there on Halloween, but there will be no Tyus Bowser Show that night. We'll be back the following Tuesday for the next Tyus Bowser Show. You'll hear segment number 2 coming up a little bit later on. I guess I should also mention today, Nate Ebner is going to join us, 3-time Super Bowl champion, former U.S. Olympic rugby player. One of those 2 sports stories that I know was getting attention in 2016, but I feel like somehow not even as much attention as it deserved. It was pretty remarkable that an active NFL player was playing in the Olympics, playing rugby. But Nate Ebner is going to join us. You say, why? Well, you might remember 2 weeks ago there was a story about the Ravens using rugby balls in practice. And then they dropped a bunch of passes against the Steelers. And some folks like Rex Ryan were like, yo, what the F? Get rid of the rugby balls. What are we doing? Well, I don't know if rugby balls could help, could make things better. So let's ask someone who played both football and rugby. Seems like a good idea to me. So we'll talk to Nate Ebner about that a little bit later on. Also this morning, of course, we'll make picks with our buddy Ken Zalis. That's all coming up on the program today. Back to the thought about Odafe Owe. You get a cleaner picture of exactly where the Ravens are in the edge rush spot if you get Odafe Owe out there for maybe 2 games that he would be able to play before the deadline. I don't know what Odafe could do in those 2 games that would suddenly make me say you don't need edge rush help, or you couldn't still use an alpha in the edge rush department. I would be more willing to listen to the idea that maybe you don't need to go bargain shopping in the edge rush department. If I'm going edge rush, I'm going highest end. I'm going Danielle Hunter, Brian Burns, to a lesser degree Chase Young. I saw Pro Football Focus floating around the Chase Young trade that would be multiple third-round picks for Chase Young. Like, okay, I don't know.
I mean,
he's off to a good start to the season.
Could we get them to throw in like a 4th or a 5th or something? Or
I don't know. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. Believe it or not, I've not been on the phone with Martin Mayhew or Magic Johnson. I am reading the Magic Johnson book. Boy, Roland Lazenby, who is one of the great sports authors of a generation. Jesus Christ, 778 pages on Magic Johnson.
It's a Harry Potter book.
I read 54 pages last night, and I feel like there's no way. There's just no way. It's very good. I'm looking forward to chatting with him about it, and I enjoyed it's a hell of a topic, but 778 pages. I grabbed the book the other day. I'm like, all right, well, I got 2 weeks. I can start working on this. I'm like, I'm going to need a year. Gonna need a lot more time than that to work on this book. But yes, I would be looking at the higher end if I'm going edge rush. I had somebody ask me, like, wouldn't Mecole Hardman have made sense for the Ravens? Why? Again, I don't think what they're missing at the moment is depth. I kind of get it for the Chiefs. It's the familiarity factor, low price, fine. I don't know what Mecole Hardman is if he shows up in Baltimore. I don't know where he would fit in. If you are going around Rashad Bateman, it's for someone who's definitely better than Rashad Bateman, and I don't know if Mecole Hardman is that. More rumors that Devontae Adams is frustrated and Ravens fans licking their chops go, oh, Devontae Adams. I'd still be surprised, but is it I can't suggest anything is impossible anymore at the trade deadline. I can't do that. The Ravens have been active. I was reminded yesterday by someone whose opinion I trust that if there's something that we would know the Ravens would be inclined to do, I feel like the position that we have most ignored in talking about the deadline, we've been talking about edge rush, we've been talking about running back, we've been talking about Devontae Adams, we've even talked about guard, would be cornerback. That, remember, this was a Ravens leadership group that wanted to build a defense from the outside in. That if there was a way that they were inclined to go, cornerback would be the position they would look for help at. And that made sense to me. Now, again, what's out there, I don't know. I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about corner. It's pretty funny that that's the case, considering how desperate they were at the position at the beginning of the year, that I guess the secondaries have played well enough that we've kind of been like, all's good here. But is it actually all's good? I don't know. I'm still more inclined to want a high-end edge rusher than I am cornerback help. But I guess if there was a high-end cornerback to be found, I'd still have the conversation. And it all continues to operate around the idea of, what is the price the Ravens are willing to pay, particularly in the Lamar Jackson contract era. Like the price for Devontae Adams, as much as we all say, well, that's Devontae Adams, that's when it starts getting tricky because now you're talking about multiple high picks at a time where you're not going to have as much money to spend on outside help.
So it's like, could they go the route that the Rams almost went and
you go all? No, they're not going to do that. The Baltimore Ravens will not
win a
do
Super
that.
Bowl this year.
They're not. Look, man, trust me. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to win a Super Bowl, but the Baltimore Ravens will not be that team. That will never occur. Which doesn't mean they might not make a trade, or it doesn't mean they might not even consider doing something slightly bolder than we'd expect them to do, given that. But they do have to measure everything. Like the fact that they are moving into the Lamar Jackson contract era and so much of their cap is going to be sucked up by one player, they're going to have to be able to have more paths in order to add talent to the team. So it's one thing when you look at a second-round pick for Roquan Smith and say, really, is this second-round pick going to be spent in a better way than Roquan Smith? Of course not. But when you get into the multiple pick territory, when you're talking about, whatever it would be for a Devontae Adams, I know the thing that whoever it was, FanDuel or whoever, floated around was like a first-rounder and a third-rounder this year and then a second-rounder the following year. You can say that's a reasonable price for Devontae Adams, but then you're going to start getting into the next question, which is there a better way to spend 3 top-round first 2-day picks? And the answer is undoubtedly yes. You hit on all of those picks. And I get it. That's a tricky conversation. Right now, the Ravens' third-round pick is MIA. They didn't have a second-round pick last year, and Roquan Smith worked out all right. They've had issues with their second, third-round picks in not so distant history. They've had problems in those rounds. But you absolutely can spend 3 early-round picks better than even one really good player. That can be done. So it becomes a trickier conversation. As far as John Harbaugh's update on Tyus Bowser, I can't add anything to it. He says there's apparently some doctors' meetings around this weekend. Said, I hope he's going to be back. Well, none of it means anything. None of us gives us any sort of update. We addressed it with Tyus Bowser in segment number 1 of the Tyus Bowser Show. He said what he was going to say. This is kind of where we are, man. I said this last night. It's frustrating because we live in the era of information and we always want to know more. But this is going to be the reality sometimes. It is their right to, whatever is going on, keep it as close as they want to keep it. And hopefully this weekend, whatever those doctors' meetings are, everybody gets thumbs up and Tyus Bowser's back out on the field, and none of this is ever a conversation that we have to have again. And I don't just say that as someone who hosts a show with Tyus Bowser. I say that because it'd be best for the Baltimore Ravens. It'd be best to have your football players on the field. That's the thing you want. So we'll see how it goes. Doesn't look like Marcus Williams will play this week. The topic that we got into last night, and I got some good responses to it, and some that came in after the show last night, so I wanted to follow up with it. The topic that we got into last night, and it's ironic because we'll do picks a little bit later on today, and I'm still not sure where I'm leaning yet. But I had a moment where it hit me. I don't know if the numbers moved since then, and if it's still 3 points. But I had a moment where it hit me, and I said, why are the Ravens favored by 3 points in this game? What am I missing here? It is still 3 points. It used to be that Vegas would give you 3 points just by being the home team. It was a long-held belief. The number was, I think, officially something like 2.8. That the math said just being at home was worth 2.8 points in the NFL. I was talking to Jonas Schaefer about this because he said he was doing some research on this, and he said the number now is more like 1.5 points. It's changed for a few reasons. Crowds aren't quite the same as they used to be in the NFL for the most part. I think a lot of people have pointed that out in
Shame
Baltimore.
on us. Yeah.
It's the nature of how much money you're charging for tickets. You still get plenty of the a-holes that want to fight. Those people still exist.
Thank goodness.
But some of the younger, more passionate fans are no longer, they've been priced out of going to NFL games. Those tickets are for corporate folks. It's not all of that. Obviously, as you see, it's gross. The fights every week around the NFL. I mean, it's just disgusting. It's part of the reason why I have no interest anymore. I would not. I would rather do anything than go to an NFL game. I'm just over it. But that's part of the reason why this has happened. Part of the reason is because teams have gotten better over the years. They've been able to better prepare for playing in hostile environments. All of the research that's been done about travel and sleep and all of these things has benefited teams and have made them be able to acclimate better when they're on the road. It's not a drastic change. It's not like you've gone from being at home getting you 3 points to suddenly being at home being a disadvantage. But it's enough that it's changed by more than a point. So what Vegas is saying is that if these two teams played on a neutral site, the Ravens would be a point to a point and a half favorites. And that's weird to me. Like, that's odd. And when that number went up, I expected it to go the other way. I expected it to be bet down to more like 2 or 1.5 points. And it hasn't been. And I can't figure that out. The easy thing for someone to say is, have the Lions really proved it? Have they proved that they deserve to be treated like this? Well, they've got the best resume of anybody in football because they're the one with the best win of anybody in football so far this season. If this was like college football, now that everybody has one loss, now that all the undefeateds are gone, if this was college football and you were trying to look at resumes and say, who's the one that's most deserving of the top spot in the computer rankings, no one would have a more valuable win than having won in Kansas City. One team beat the defending Super Bowl champs in Kansas City. Now, as Lomas Brown pointed out yesterday, it's a reminder that, they were depleted for that game to start the season, the Chiefs were. No Travis Kelce, no Chris Jones. That matters to some extent. It matters. It doesn't take away the fact that they beat Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And that's the best thing you can do as far as a resume is concerned in the NFL in 2023. But it does matter. Is it just old habits die hard? These are still the Lions. We're not ready, even if they do have the number 2 DVOA team in football. That's the part that I can't shake. Why is it that the Ravens are 3-point favorites against the team, and you're supposed to take all heart out of it and just go by fact when it comes to betting, the number 2 overall DVOA team in football? Why would the Ravens be getting such respect in those circumstances?
Is it that they, do they value Ravens home field slightly better than others? I mean, Lamar Jackson's better than Jared Goff.
I mean,
Justin Tucker's better than Riley Patterson.
I'm not really sure what that would have to do with anything, but,
those are the key.
No, they're certainly not, but
Lamar Jackson is.
Yes, that one is. Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that their team, that the strict numbers say that that's a better team in Detroit so far than it does in Baltimore. I've really struggled with this. This is the first time in a while that I've looked at, I'm not stunned the Ravens are favored. If the Ravens were 1.5 favorites, I'd say that's about right? That makes sense. They should be about 1.5 favorites. It's your way of kind of saying, these two teams are really close. The Ravens get a slight advantage because they're at home. That makes sense. But acknowledging the Ravens would be favored on a neutral site, I'm not sure what the Ravens have done to warrant that. As Rita and I discussed last night, she continued to remind me, it is a Ravens team that should be 6-0. Yes, but they're not. Both things are true. They should be 6-0. But they lost the games that they lost, and they were atrocious. We don't get to hide from that. We don't get to pretend like they didn't happen just because they shouldn't have happened. They did lose those games. I'm not. Their second half performance is meh at best. Some numbers that our friend Jonas Schaefer shared this week. Let me see if I can pull them up. About their efficiency in the second half. Pretty eye-popping. As they go from being one of the best offenses in football in the first halves of games to suddenly being First quarter. This is their success rate and yards per play with ranks. The first quarter, 56.6% success rate, second in the NFL, 6.1 yards per play, seventh in the NFL in the first quarter. In the second quarter, 47% success rate, sixth in the NFL, 5.7 yards per play, 12th in the NFL. So still pretty good. Third quarter, 40.5% success rate, 16th in the NFL. 5.2 yards per play, 20th in the NFL. And in the fourth quarter, or overtime, 28.4% success rate, 31st in the NFL, 3.8 yards per play, 30th in the NFL. Against a good team, those things seemingly matter. And we can mythically say, well, but the Ravens play to the level of their competition, and so that's the reason. And I do think it matters. Like I laugh at it as I suggested, but I do think it's part of what is driving people this week. That there's an amount of, yeah, but they tend to play their best against good competition and their worst against bad competition. Maybe? Maybe. I don't know. They tend to be pretty bad in the second half.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And against a good team, I don't think you can survive playing poorly in the second half. Against a good team with a very good defense, I don't think you can survive playing poorly in the second half. And maybe this is the week where they've got some tricks up their sleeve and some things they want to pull out. And
for the fourth quarter?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. But I'm just not sure what the Ravens have done to warrant being 3-point favorites. I'm not sure what that is. And
I mean,
I'm still, by the way, and I still don't know how I'm going to pick the game. That is the goofy part. It's still tough to pick against the Ravens at home. Like, there's still a part of it. It's like, yeah, but it is the Ravens at home. That matters for some reason. But I can't define it. There's nothing. This is where I want, like, somebody in Vegas to, like, have to show me your work. Show me the math you used to come up with this, right? Tell me exactly what the equation was that got you to Ravens 3-point favorites. Because,
I mean, if you were to go, like, position by position,
that's not how you do this.
well, then how do you do it? So
you do it by ranking what they've done on the field, like, not just who do I like better at each position.
Well, you're basing it what the players have done this
the
season.
result. You do it by results. You don't do it by position groups. You don't do it by saying, well, I like this secondary better than that secondary. Like, you do it by the results that they've had. I'm also trying to figure out which position groups I definitively like better for the Ravens than I like for the Lions.
Quarterback.
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's the most important one.
I
so
understand
that. Would lean towards it. Kicker, tight end. Even though Laporta is having a great year.
This year,
you still go to Mark Andrews.
I'm not saying that in general I don't like Mark Andrews better than Sam Laporta, but this year, production-wise, we're doing kind of a wacky there. Inside linebacker, I obviously like better
Ravens.
in Baltimore, but tell me the others.
Probably not. Yeah,
I mean,
not edge rush.
I guess running back is close with Montgomery out and Gibbs having been banged up, although it looks like he's going to play on Sunday. So I guess running back is close. I would tell you that I still like Jahmyr Gibbs better as a talent than any of the Ravens running backs, but he hasn't proven anything at the NFL level. He has not been even able to seize.
Craig Reynolds is hurt now, too. He didn't practice yesterday either.
I mean, Again, I'm squinting here.
Right.
Like, the player of all of the running backs between these two teams that I would want the most is Gibbs. But has he done it at the NFL level? Can I say definitively that he's better? No. I just think he is a more complete talent set than any of the Ravens running backs.
The Ravens are a tough team to run against.
So are the Lions. The Lions are an extraordinarily tough team to run against.
So run games are neutralized.
I'm not coming up with why
3
the
points.
Ravens are 3-point favorites. I have to make a decision why it is that or what it is that I want to do with that. So bizarre to me, man. We'll get to that when we get the picks. Today's show, first hour of today's show.
Their O-line's a little banged up as well right now, and I guess the Ravens are getting healthier. should be healthy at O-line.
Who's banged up on their
Ragnow was a limited. Their center was a limited.
If they're playing, they're playing.
And then Jonah Jackson, their left guard, did not practice yesterday.
Okay, I mean, that's something, I guess. Yeah. Something. It's still not. It's not going to tell me why it is they're 3-point dogs.
Just trying to help.
You're not really helping, though.
What?
You're not giving me an explanation as to why. I just don't get it. Somebody pointed out, man, there was a number that was floating around. Like, the Ravens are particularly good against the NFC. And I was like, boy, I wonder if that has something to do with it. Hang on a second. It might have been Jameson who shared it. Jameson Hensley on Twitter. Nope, I'm not finding it there. Who said the Ravens? Oh, it was. Nope, that wasn't. Never mind. I take that back. Oh, here it is. It was Jameson Hensley. Lamar Jackson is 15-1 in his career versus NFC opponents, 7-0 at home. The only loss coming last season at the Giants. His .938 win percentage is the best by any quarterback against the opposing conference since the 1970 merger, per ESPN Stats and Info.
All right, well, we got to the bottom of it.
It's not nothing, but I'm not really sure. Like, does Lamar Jackson not care about the AFC games? And all of a sudden, an NFC team's coming to town. And he's like Spice Adams in the woods, like waiting.
Finally.
I don't really get that. I think it comes off as more anomaly to me. I don't think the AFC is so much better than the NFC.
Is it something like
it's proof that you can count on the fact that he's always going to be good against the NFC?
The AFC prepares a little bit more for Lamar Jackson? Could that be the case? And that NFC teams,
still struggle with being caught off guard by it? Remember, they should have lost to the Lions the last time that they played. Let's not and that was a terrible Lions team. Let's not forget that. They needed maybe the most significant miracle in NFL history in order to not lose to the Lions the last time they played. So I don't know. I don't know how we read into that one, Chief. There probably is something to be said for it, like the fact that the AFC teams have seen Lamar Jackson more frequently, and
they know they have to beat Lamar Jackson at some point. So
maybe there's something to be said for that, but it still comes off more anomaly to me than anything else. Although it is significant, never lost at home to an NFC team. That's quite interesting as you file it away, and why maybe that's the reason why the Ravens are 3-point favorites. All right, today's show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Does it help the Ravens to practice with rugby balls? I don't know the answer to that, but maybe 3-time Super Bowl champion and former Olympic rugby player Nate Ebner can help us out with that next on Glenn Clark Radio.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Todd Karpovich profiles the Orioles' survivors, Anthony Santander, Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, and Ryan Mountcastle, who all came from the previous regime but stuck through tough times to be key pieces in guiding the franchise back to prominence. Also inside, we remember the iconic Brooks Robinson with tributes from Jim Henneman and myself, Stan the Fan Charles, and a trip down memory lane to remember the most significant moments of his career. Plus, we meet players from college basketball programs around the state. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring with competitive salaries, including for experienced police officers, starting salaries between over $68,000 and over $82,000 based on your prior service time, accepting up to 7 years of service times with only 6 weeks in the academy, minimum of 2 years prior experience. And police cadet starting salaries at over $32,000 must be between the ages of 18 and 20, but you can apply starting at 17 and a half. Must have a high school diploma or GED equivalent at the time of the hire, U.S. citizen at the time of the hire, and a valid driver's license. So if you have a passion for service and want a career for life, now is the time to join the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-5542 or visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Visit Harford County this fall. Celebrate Arts Across Harford September 15th through the 30th with dance, theater, music, and visual arts. September 29th through October 1st is the largest Italian festival in Maryland, featuring entertainment, cooking demonstrations, a bocce tournament, and family fun. If you're headed to the Maryland 5-Star, stay and play in Harford County. While you're there, enjoy the scenic views atop the King and Queen seats and experience pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and fall brews along their Harford Libation Trail. For more info, head to visitharford.com. Maryland open.
Picking a restaurant to try for the first time? Let's look at the Costas Inn. Here's a few checklist items. Quality of the food? Check. Quality of service? Check. Does the restaurant have plenty of free parking? Check. And finally, does the restaurant have delicious steamed crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, and specials galore? Check, check, check. Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They check all the boxes.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Don't forget about Project Game Day after every Ravens game this season. It's kind of like this show, except Rita's also there, so I actually think it's pretty good. But hey, you're already here now, so why don't you go ahead and keep listening to GCR.
All right, back in here on GCR. I think I said yesterday that Stan the Fan Charles was done for the week. Turns out he's doing 3 shows this week. He did, of course, his weekly Monday show with Ross Grimsley and Luke Jackson. Then he caught up with writer Buck Davidson ahead of the Maryland 5-Star. I'm going to go out there today, as long as nothing comes up between now and then. I'm going to take the trip out. I've never been. I've always wanted to go show some support. It's a major event in our state. It's not my thing, but it's important to our region. So I want to get out there for at least a little while, check it out, be able to talk about it intelligently. But I also found out he's going to have Mike Gibbons from the Babe Ruth Museum join him tonight. So you want to check that out. Also, he and Mike Gibbons are both selectors for the Maryland State Athletics Hall of Fame. So they're going to talk a little bit more about this year's class. Adrian Dantley, part of it. Jermaine Lewis, part of this year's class for the Maryland State Athletics Hall of Fame. So look forward to Stan and Mike Gibbons a little bit later on today. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports if you miss it live. YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. All right, had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule, but this story that was floating around about the Ravens working with rugby balls and then dropping a bunch of balls in Pittsburgh. Is there anything there? Either way, can it be a good thing, a bad thing, anything like that? Had the opportunity to catch up with 3-time Super Bowl champion and former Olympic rugby player Nate Ebner, and ended up listening to Nate Ebner talk about rugby as like a religious experience. That's how much he cares about it. So had a fun conversation about that and Kyle Van Noy. Enjoy this, Nate Ebner here on GCR. We're joined now here on GCR by a man who has accomplished a lot of things in his life. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and he's a former U.S. Olympic rugby player. And when we saw the story last week, the Ravens had been practicing with rugby balls, and then they had kind of a tough day in Pittsburgh catching the football. I thought, well, is there anyone I know that could maybe help us out and tell us if these two things are somehow related? And that would be the great Nate Ebner, who's with us here on GCR. Nate, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's really great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. I mean, pretty interesting tactic there, but yeah, I've had a lot of experience with the rugby ball and the pigskin, so familiar with both.
I don't know if you heard about this story. It was getting a lot of play on the national talk shows. Rex Ryan was saying Man, you got to get rid of that. That's insane. I have no idea the correlation. Can you take me through like why it might be helpful, why it might be beneficial to a football player to attempt to try to work with a rugby ball in practice?
It's I don't know. It's tough for me because a lot of times in OTAs before we were allowed to use footballs, and with my experience in the league, we had to use other things like tennis balls and things like that. And the tennis balls I saw as beneficial because it was such a smaller target to catch. You had to like really focus on it. It was easier to make like one-handed catches with stuff like that, but at the same time, like it's a small object. I always thought the tennis ball was unique. A rugby ball is just so big relative to a football, and it's so much lighter than a football. They're easier to catch. Everything about it, they fly easier. Like they're just, so much more user friendly, if you will. So I could see after, you're catching rugby balls that they float, they're soft, they're light, and they want to stick to your hands. Whereas, footballs are heavier, tight spirals. And I could see why it would be more difficult to catch a football after a rugby ball.
Interesting.
I can't necessarily see, why using it in substitution for a football. I could see the smaller ball, like a tennis ball, like I spoke about, but the rugby ball just, they're made to catch, you know what I mean? They're so much easier. So, I don't know. I can't really speak to the thought process of the coaches. Just from my experience, that's kind of what I can give to that conversation. But I can't necessarily see the benefit of it.
You had a lot of times in your life when you were doing both things in very, close periods of time. Did you ever have like an issue? You've been working out, playing rugby for a little while. You go back and you're at practice one day and you dealt with that where you're like, man, I got to remember what it's like to catch a football for a second.
A little bit. I mean, you play enough sports growing up in your life, you're familiar with, whatever the ball is, you just catch it. Right. But, man, yeah, going from football to rugby, you're like, wow, I forgot how big and light and catchable this ball is and wants to stick to your hands. And, footballs, well, with the gloves nowadays, they stick pretty good, but, footballs aren't as easy to catch, so definitely a little more focus with a football, I would say. From my experience, if I just point blank had to pick one that's more difficult, I would definitely say football is probably harder to catch.
That's wild.
Yeah.
He's Nate Ebner. He's with us here on GCR. Nate, I'm guessing that you wouldn't be prepared because you certainly were not there and have no idea to say that is the reason why the Ravens had like 8 drops against the Steelers a couple weeks ago, right? But like, could you see a world where maybe it's just better to not mess with it? Just go out, catch a football, worry about football. That's what you do for a living. Maybe you don't worry about trying to expand and catch rugby balls.
Again, I mean, I can't speak for the coaches. I don't know really what the thought process was, but at the end of the day, you want to practice for the games and obviously make the practice as game realistic as possible. And in that regard, you should be using the ball you're going to use, right? In my thought process. And I just think about, playing golf, you wouldn't want to hit anything other than a golf ball. So it's like, for me, I think sometimes we try to get so creative with, new tactics, new training methods. And sometimes, if it ain't broke, it don't need to be fixed. And, in that regard, I could see, I don't know how much they used it, but you catch a rugby ball enough. And then, quarterback throws a tight spiral at you with a heavy football, that thing's going to be heavier and much different. So, again, like I said, can't speak for the coaches, but, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just throw that pigskin around.
So the only thing that was ever said was that the thought was maybe that it trains the receivers to open up their hands and their fingers wide enough for a smaller football. Does that do anything for you? Like, does that track with you at all?
Well, I mean, again, if you had your hands close together like a football catch, that rugby ball is going to stick in your hands just as good because it wants to stick. To me, I think like catching a tennis ball, is
Yeah.
more difficult because your spacing needs to be perfect to catch the tennis ball with two hands because it is so small. And I think that's the accuracy you need to have in that moment. That eye-hand coordination to really be perfect with your hand placement. Like I said, rugby ball is so much bigger. You can be wider with your hands, and I think wider with your hands, that makes it easier. The footballs are, tight. You need that hand placement tight. Yeah, I mean, my initial thought process through my experience of playing, professional sports for the time that I have would be just, if anything, go smaller. I think the smaller ball is more difficult.
All right. He is Nate Ebner. Nate, I know I want to ask you about a former teammate of yours that showed up here in Baltimore like 2 weeks ago and is already kicking ass. That's Kyle Van Noy. I was stunned, right off the couch, right into the mix, plays, disruptive. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with Kyle? What you got to know about him?
Yeah,
Were you? Yeah, go ahead.
Nah, Kyle's a great dude, first and foremost. Talks a little bit too much. Nah, he's good though, but he that's what he did in New England so well. I think he came from Detroit before that, but we could plug him in, and at the time we had a pretty elaborate defense, and Kyle was able to take that in pretty quickly and understand what we were trying to do. And that's what made him so beneficial to that team, was his ability to take in quite a bit of information. And, we could trust him that he wasn't going to make any mistakes. And someone, especially kind of being new to it, he, obviously came into his own with New England and has had quite a good career since then. And it's no surprise to me that, you can put a lot on his plate and he can handle it. He's the type of player that can do that. He's pretty smart player and, decently athletic on top of it to make the plays when he needs to, but he puts himself there before the play starts because he is a smart guy. So, yeah, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Kyle. He's a goofball, but, average to poor golf game. But other than that, yeah, good football player, smart, and yeah, man, I'm not surprised. He's done well. He'll continue to do well, and he's definitely an asset to have on the field, no doubt.
That's cool. Were you surprised that he was still sitting on the couch at this point in the season? Like, what are you guys doing? This is Kyle Van Noy.
A little bit, it's a little bit, but you know how the league is, man. It's like you start to get to be a certain age, and it's like, you got leprosy or something. It's it's just the way it goes around the league. Once you played enough years, it's like they just try to get a young guy that's cheaper, and that's what they do. So you really have to have your value if you're an older player to stay around the league. And I think Kyle being able to come in and have success off the bat shows the value that he still does have and the type of player that he is. And that's what it takes to be a veteran player who's been around the league for quite a few years and still be able to be on rosters and show your value.
The Ravens have never minded having a talker or two on the roster over the years, so I don't think that's going to be something they're going to mind.
Right in then.
Yeah, right. Nate, I know you have stayed very involved with rugby as your life has moved on and you're in your post-playing career, and I know you've been involved with Major League Rugby. We saw recently that the DC team, Old Glory, is actually going to play in the Maryland Soccerplex here in the DC suburbs and the Maryland side of things. Can you tell everybody a little bit about Major League Rugby, your involvement, and how you guys are still working to maybe grow the game here in the U.S.?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could talk about that for quite some time, so you might need to channel me here. But when I was growing up playing rugby in this country, that's ultimately why I ended up going to play football. I was one of the better rugby players in our country at the time. I played on 3 junior national teams and represented the country in junior World Cups. And, there just was no future for rugby in this country. I would have had to go overseas and play in France or England. And, I didn't want to leave this country. I'm very patriotic. I love America. I wanted to be here. And on top of that, I'm going to Ohio State, and, the football players are the best in the world. And, I could never play at that level. And that's what everyone's telling me. And it just kind of was a perfect storm for me. But I think the starting point was that there just isn't a future for rugby for me at that time. So fast forward to now, more than a decade later, it's, you have a young Nate Ebner that's 16, 17 years old. He can aspire to be a professional rugby player in this country. I think that's huge. We're starting to get some of the biggest name rugby players in the world coming here to play in the United States. I think is no secret if you're cultured enough or experienced enough throughout the world, like America's a great place to be, and people around the world, obviously want to be here. And I think that's a pulling point for the MLR. You've got some other big leagues, obviously in England, and then, in France and in Japan. But I think, when you're talking about a worldwide product, when we're streaming stuff online and whatnot, there's no doubt that, the MLR aspires to be the number one rugby league in the world. And the fact that we're even in that conversation right now, with only being 5 years or so into the inception point, I think speaks volumes to the league. It started around 2018. Just a couple years later, you're into COVID, where the whole business model is based around bringing people together, for like a festival or whatnot in a game. And, now you can't do that. For the MLR to still stick around, you saw how many businesses went under during that time period. And especially a starting sports league, those are hard enough to get going. And then for them to go through that just a couple years from inception and then still be here and thriving, I just think speaks volumes to the model that they have, the ownership across the league, the individual franchises are just being run so well, and they're, it's a successful business model, and I'm excited for what the future holds. And obviously my New England Free Jacks won the MLR last year. It was awesome to be a part of. A pretty cool experience for me, obviously, like being in the Olympics and like winning Super Bowls, and then kind of from that ownership viewpoint, seeing what it's like for those guys, because I know what it takes to win at the highest level. It doesn't matter what sport or what you're doing at the highest level. It's difficult to win a championship. And I just know the sacrifice that those guys made, and I'm so happy for them, especially the previous year having lost in the conference championship game, and they were the best team in the league, I thought, that year. So the fact that we brought it home last year was awesome. I'm excited for this year, and I'm just, like I said, excited for the next 10 years. And obviously the Rugby World Cup is coming to America. I think it's 2031. I don't know if I got that right, but something like that. And I think that influence that the MLR is going to have on these young generations, because, we're talking 2031, about 8 years away. We got 16-year-old kids that are probably going to be on that that USA team to represent our country in that World Cup. And obviously the World Cup's going on right now. And it's just such an awesome, huge event across the globe. I think second to the Soccer World Cup as far as viewership goes.
Wow.
And the fact that we can host that and hopefully put a team that can compete out there, I'm really excited about it. And I think the MLR is a huge launching point for that. And amongst all that, trying to help improve the age grade and the youth levels and the grassroots rugby around our country is it's vitally important for the success. And I think the MLR teams have done a great job in their communities, and we just need to keep expanding that. But it's been good. And like I said, the success they've had through all the difficulties and just the short 5 or 6 years they've been around speaks volumes to.
And I know the Patriots are really supportive of lacrosse, but lacrosse is a big deal in our neck of the woods. And it was announced this week that lacrosse is going to go into the Olympics in 2028. And I wonder what rugby sevens and the Olympics, they're going to play lacrosse sixes in the Olympics. It's a different concept. Yeah. But what did it do for rugby as a whole to coalesce around sevens, get into the Olympics? How much did that help? And do you have a sense for what that could mean for a sport like lacrosse?
Well, I mean, when I think about, the influence that rugby sevens has, it puts rugby right there in the forefront on the biggest stage that all Americans are watching during the Olympics. They see all different kinds of sports, but a sport they probably otherwise would not have seen. So, instantly it puts them up there. And then you start to get a team that's competitive and having success. You find yourself, cheering for the curling team and you know nothing about curling just because it's United States and it brings the patriot out in all of us. And, you know, you just want to see your country have success and it doesn't matter. And then you start to find yourself falling in love with this sport or whatever activity that you never even knew about. And I think that's what it's done for rugby for sure. I think we need to have more success though. I'll say that too. Just being a part of the Olympics isn't good enough, especially being an American. We win medals,
Right.
if you're American. And, but obviously rugby is a, you know, worldwide sport that, you know, we're not top dogs in. So we need to change that, but just that initial influence and impact it has, I you know, as a kid playing sports, you always, you know, what the Olympics are and represent your country. It really doesn't get much bigger than that. And, you know, for someone like me to be able to go back and play a sport I grew up playing my whole life, and represent our country in the Olympics, it was a dream come true. You know, I'm not a big believer in fate, but for me to have the background that I had playing rugby, playing in the NFL, getting the blessing from the Patriots to go try to make it to the Olympics, having that experience to be able to play at that highest level, you know, having not played for 6 years, but just because, you know, I learned how to ride that bike a long time ago, I could knock the rust off. You know, I'm 28 in the prime of my athletic career. So it just kind of worked out for me. It was kind of, you know, the stars, like I said, the stars aligned on that one. My dad had played. It was kind of like a tribute to him in my eyes, and just a great honor. And I just think about young kids that grow up playing and they can, like we spoke about at the beginning, you know, you aspire to be a professional athlete, you aspire to play in the Olympics. Now, if you grow up playing rugby, you have that dream is a reality. You can be a professional athlete in this country and play rugby. You can represent your country in the Olympics playing sevens, and it, you know, it gives you an extra reason to want to stay and push harder to be great. I think that's what it's done for rugby and the young kids, and obviously putting that awareness out there for Americans that don't know it. And I think with any sport, it could have that same impact. And I could see that happening with lacrosse. And I saw that flag football got admitted to it as well. So that'll be interesting. I mean, you know, I started to think about like Tyreek Hill playing flag football and geez, like, right.
Cheat code.
So, you know, yeah, it's the Olympics is awesome. For me, is, you know, an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. And I hope it's done a lot for rugby, but I hope it continues to. And you know, I really want to see us on the medal stand in LA. I think that's the next one this summer. And, you know, we need that. And like I said, that's just building towards this 2031 Rugby World Cup, which is obviously 15s. But, you know, I think the world always talked about America in the rugby sense as being a sleeping giant just because of the athletes that we have. You look at American football players, you know, we get, you know, guys like me that obviously could play in the NFL for as long as I did, not to leave rugby and stay with the rugby program. You know, you've got high caliber athletes that can, you know, potentially do some damage on the world stage. So I think we're knocking on that door, and things like the Olympics, things like the MLR, having success there. It's really just the beginning, and hopefully we can turn the corner coming up to this World Cup.
Nate, I know I kept you long, but I'd be remiss before I let you go. This weekend, the Ravens are celebrating Terrell Suggs, putting him in the Ring of Honor. You
Awesome.
arrived in New England in like the throes of Ravens Patriots, and you know, some good moments for both teams in the playoffs your first couple of seasons. Did you have a moment? I know you were on one side of the field and you were never going up against him or anything like that, but did you ever have a moment where he jawed at you, didn't even know who you were, anything like that? We know he's
I never Suggs was a good dude. I never really I didn't cross paths with him like you said. And you know, I was playing mostly special teams at the time. I was a rookie when the Ravens won the Super Bowl. They beat us. You know, that was the football team they had, and they peaked at the right time. I think very average football team that went through the divisional round and all that to get through, and obviously won the Super Bowl. So yeah, you guys had Jacoby Jones. I remember getting a tackle in a playoff game. That was huge for me on a kickoff. But yeah, no, it's all the respect in the world to those guys, because that was my eye opening to, you know, I came into Patriots in 2012, 2011. They were just in the Super Bowl. They just had all those Super Bowls they won previously, and coming into a good football team. And we don't lose much, and then you get in the playoffs, and Tom Brady turns it up a little more. Everybody turns it up a little bit more, and to see that Ravens team just kind of just put the brakes on us and just couldn't really do anything. Hats off to them. They were the better team back then, and really opened my eyes to like what good football is like. And that's why the playoffs are so good. That's why the NFL is what it is. But yeah, the Ravens were nothing to gawk at. So I don't know about now though. That the Patriots are struggling a bit. So we'll see.
I don't think there's going to be a big playoff showdown this year.
Yeah, I don't either.
But something you and Mike Tomlin have in common, you both tackled Jacoby Jones on a kickoff return, but that's a conversation for another day. Nate, I've kept you so long. Is there anything else I can plug for you? Anything else you have going on in your world?
No, I mean, my book's out, so pretty unique story, obviously, with my father's murder before I walked onto the football team, having not played football in high school, and obviously the success I had through Ohio State and in the NFL, and then the journey to the Olympics, and kind of that being rooted in my relationship with my dad. A pretty unique sports story, and hopefully we can do something special with it. But if anybody wants to get out there and find something to read, I urge them to do so. You can pretty much find it anywhere. Amazon, just Google search Nate Ebner Finish Strong, it'll pop up. But yeah, man, that's what I got going on, and some other ventures. Obviously I like to speak. It ties in well with the book. My story is just kind of one of motivation and inspiration. So love being able to go out and speak and tell my story. Like you said, it's something I feel genuine about and passionate about, so it's easy to talk on. But yeah, man, I just appreciate the sport, and I thank you for having me today.
At Nate Ebner on Twitter is how you can follow him and find out more. Nate, really enjoyed this conversation, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
That's the 3-time Super Bowl champion and former U.S. Olympic rugby player Nate Ebner with us here on GCR. Dismissive of there being a benefit for a team working with rugby balls in practice. Of course, cannot say that that's the reason why they dropped all those balls against Pittsburgh, but interesting. Just interesting thoughts from someone who played both games, obviously, at the highest level, and whether or not it might be any here. If we're not getting the Soccer World Cup, and I guess it's not dead, but like if we're not getting it, let's go. Rugby World Cup, M&T Bank Stadium. I remember when the Baltimore Stallions were playing at Memorial Stadium. One time they did a doubleheader, and I want to say it was a USA-Canada rugby match ahead of a Stallions game. And it was awesome. I was a kid. I didn't know anything about rugby. I was like 11 years old. It's the first time I'd ever seen it like at a high level, and I was like, whoa, what the hell is this? My chiropractor, my former chiropractor. I don't have a chiropractor. I'm in the market for a chiropractor at the moment.
That bad?
I've had lifelong neck problems.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's a longer story than that, but I'm not going to bore everybody with the time. It's a whole thing. I probably could go back to my old chiropractor. I think he's just down the road.
Oh.
But my former chiropractor, Dr. Elliott, man, he would always, every time I was there, he'd be like, Glenn, you want to sign up? Come play rugby with us on Sunday. What the hell? And then I realized
it's because he wants more business.
He gets clients. That's why he plays rugby. He's playing rugby.
Oh, your back is hurting?
Yeah, right? Well, come on over and see me.
You know, I'm a chiropractor.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Can help you out with that. It's like that's the smartest
Genius.
hustle in the history of
Genius.
hustles. Go join a bunch of rugby leagues. Go join a rugby league every night. Man, that was smart. I all I could do was tip my cap. Like, Doc, I've heard a lot of things.
Out of respect, yes.
I've never heard one quite as smart as this. That is genius, bro. Sunday following Ravens-Lions, join us, PressBoxOnline.com/gameday, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. Myself, the NFL chick Rita Hubbard, former Ravens Super Bowl champion fullback Femi Ayanbadejo will all be together, plus a cast of characters. You never know who's going to pop in. for Project Game Day. Come hang out with us. It's all brought to you by AJ Michaels, Superbook, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. We'll see you for Project Game Day this Sunday. When we come back in, how am I going to pick it? I still can't figure out why the spread is what it is when the Ravens are really good against the NFC, apparently. But how are we going to pick it? We'll pick all the games for this week with our buddy Ken Zalis next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, October 17th at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. It's brought to you by Superbook Sports and AJ Michaels. And if you or a loved one have a gambling problem, visit HelpMyGamblingProblem.org.
Picking a restaurant to try for the first time? Let's look at the Costas Inn. Here's a few checklist items. Quality of the food? Check. Quality of service? Check. Does restaurant have plenty of free parking? Check. And finally, does restaurant have delicious steamed crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, and specials galore? Check, check, check. Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They check all the boxes.
Visit Harford County this fall. Celebrate Arts Across Harford September 15th through the 30th with dance, theater, music, and visual arts. September 29th through October 1st is the largest Italian festival in Maryland, featuring entertainment, cooking demonstrations, a bocce tournament, and family fun. If you're headed to the Maryland 5-Star, stay and play in Harford County. While you're there, enjoy the scenic views atop the King and Queen seats and experience pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and fall brews along their Harford Libation Trail. For more info, head to visitharford.com. Maryland open.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? AJ Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring with competitive salaries, including for experienced police officers, starting salaries between over $68,000 and over $82,000 based on your prior service time, accepting up to 7 years of service times with only 6 weeks in the academy, minimum of 2 years prior experience. And police cadet starting salaries at over $32,000 must be between the ages of 18 and 20, but you can apply starting at 17 and a half. Must have a high school diploma or GED equivalent at the time of the hire, U.S. citizen at the time of the hire, and a valid driver's license. So if you have a passion for service and want a career for life, now is the time to join the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-5542 or visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sure, Glenn may be in his 40s now, but he looks just as good as he ever has, and he's still as sharp as he ever was. And I say both those things without even a shred of irony. Find out for yourself right now by watching the show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or youtube.com/PressBoxOnline.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Every Thursday we make picks for the weekend. I don't know what happened there. That was awkward. And back with us, as he is every Thursday, he is our buddy Ken Zalis from what?
Not yet.
I got an email that said he's there.
Oh, he is? Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reason why I started setting it up, because I was informed that Ken Zalis had joined our meeting, which would suggest to me that he's ready to go, and maybe we just weren't paying attention. What do I do now? Do I dance? Do I prepare? Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. I got a pop from Leah. I'll take that. That's one more pop that I've gotten recently. Anything else?
Now we're good.
One of these days, man, we're going to lock it all up.
Yeah.
One of these days, baby, where it's all going to go swimming. We're going to kill it. Just you wait for us. Hey, KZ. How you doing, buddy?
What's up?
Everything good?
Everything's great.
Yeah? Is it? I never know. It's not so great over here.
Why? What's going on?
I don't know. I am so I was talking to you about, boy, did you see how defensive Proctor got? Proctor got real defensive this
know,
morning. He got real well, you don't understand. He has a reputation in our league.
He does?
Oh, yes. He has a reputation. He's made some earlier this year, he managed to somehow acquire Jalen Waddle for Tutu Atwell. Straight up.
With who?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't like it.
It was you?
No, it was not me.
I'm getting a lot of flack because I accepted a trade in a league.
Okay.
Accepted a trade.
Yes.
So somebody offered me, they wanted Jordan Love and Jalen Waddle from me.
Okay.
And they offered me Trevor Lawrence and Justin Jefferson.
What?
So I auto accepted it.
What?
And
what?
Now everybody. It was made to me.
What? What? I don't understand how any of these things.
So
make
I'm
sense.
like, so they're upset with me, and I'm like, why are you upset?
Yeah,
with
well,
me?
I'm supposed to be the one to say no. I don't want to improve my team. I got a bunch of S because some idiot whatever year George Kittle was hurt, whether it was last year or 2 years ago, and he was out for a while, some idiot just straight up dropped him in one of our leagues, and nobody noticed it until I woke up one morning and looked at,
right,
and I was like, does that say George Kittle is a free? Because I think people go to like available players and rank them by projected points for the week.
Right.
Correct.
So George
Correct.
Kittle had no projected points for the week because he was still out, and I was like, am I taking crazy pills? Does that says George Kittle is available as a free agent? Well, I'm gonna go right ahead and scoop that on up. And everybody was mad at me. Like, I'm like, what the hell did you think I did wrong there?
He dropped them.
That's correct. That's not on. That's not on me.
I
Talk to
always
him.
tell people,
And that's
even if you don't make a waiver wire move, always check the waiver wire.
Oh yeah, just to see, right? No,
See
100%.
who was dropped.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No, and that's what Proctor's answer always is, like, you can't be mad at me. They made the trades. I'm like, yeah, I just have questions about whether or not there's anything hinky going on. That's all I have questions about because he has a history of making bad trades. So I didn't realize because I looked at it, and look, obviously the trade that he offered was bad, but I said I can talk about Jonathan Taylor because I have Christian McCaffrey, who looks like he's not going to miss any real time here, might even play on Sunday. And I have Josh Jacobs.
Monday.
And it's Monday? Is that when it is?
Yeah,
Monday?
so it makes it risky.
I guess that's true. Although I'm leaving in my flex, so I just got to make sure I have another.
Just go pick up Elijah Mitchell.
Well, he's not available. If that was an option, I would have done that. Mason wasn't available. I tried.
Yeah.
The moral of the story being, I've got them. A-Chan will be back at some point. I have Jeff Wilson. Like, I could use my depth at running back to improve at wide receiver, right? Like, I could do that because my wide receiver options are DJ Moore, who some weeks is great, and then, other weeks not so much. Puka Nacua, who the bloom has come off the rose a little bit because of Cooper Kupp getting back, which sucks. No offense to Cooper Kupp. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but, like, I hope he dies. I don't mean that. Maybe. And then I have Pickens and Watson, who, like, you can play.
Pickens is going to have a problem because I think
Deontay Johnson's back. And, like, you could play those guys, but you're never going to feel great about them. So I said, this is an opportunity for me. I get what you're saying, ask for St. Brown. Of course I'm going to ask for St. Brown, right? Like, let's do that. I'll go ahead and ask for St. Brown. Now, the question becomes when he says no to that, because it's his wide receiver, I don't know what to make of Jalen Waddle because I didn't realize that he had been not all that productive this season.
He hasn't been great. He hasn't been awful, but he hasn't been great. He hasn't been the second round pick that we expected him to be.
So I look at Jalen Waddle and say, yeah, go ahead.
Part of that is because Mozart and A-Chain have been so good.
So
it's not a Hill thing.
Is he not? Like, there's a part of me that wants to say it's still Jalen Waddle. It's still the Dolphins' offense. They produce like 1 billion points every week.
Yeah, I mean, I got to get something else back if I'm going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he doesn't really have a lot else. That's the issue there.
Well, that's an issue. But
all right, quickly, am I playing Trevor Lawrence if he plays tonight?
Over who?
Well, I mean, I have to pick up somebody on the wire because my only other quarterback is C.J. Stroud.
Well, then you have to tell me who's on the wire.
Sam Howell, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones. It's lonely out here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love the matchup for Lawrence. I mean, but you can't run against him at all. So, I mean, he's going to have to throw. If you had another option that was real, I would tend to lean against playing him tonight because, he's not 100%. But I mean, Howell would be the most likely one that I would take a shot with. I mean, he's just outside my top 13. He is playing the Giants, who stink. So.
Okay. But they would have to carry 3 quarterbacks on my roster again, and I really have no to me it's if Trevor Lawrence plays, I'm playing him because I don't want to use another roster spot on it. I still have a roster problem because I had to pick up KJ Osborne so that I would have a backup flex option if McCaffrey doesn't play on Monday. So I'm left with this in order to have a kicker this week, I'm gonna have to drop somebody. I might have to drop Gabe Davis or Jeff Wilson, somebody like that, and I don't want to do that. Okay, Dynamite. Thanks, buddy.
Jamal Williams is going to play tonight. Do I play him over Deontay Foreman?
I mean, Foreman has no value to me, so
yes.
If you're playing Williams, you're hoping for a goal line touch.
Right. I really have Jaleel McLaughlin. It would be another option.
Yeah, but McLaughlin was fine when Williams wasn't healthy, and now that he's healthy, he didn't do much last week.
All right, so I'm kind of screwed no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, as Glenn knows, I don't like playing guys that are just coming back from injury.
Would you go? Okay, so then I guess that answers my name. Deontay Johnson or Javonte Williams?
I mean, I'm going Williams.
All right. I guess that's good.
Okay, very good. Let's get into picks then. You all right, KZ? You kind of seem a little.
I'm tired. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
We've had late games every day.
What's going on over there, man? What's happening? You guys playing double overtime with friends?
We actually did play a double overtime game this week.
It should be illegal in the fall.
It should be. So it's funny because the MIAA in soccer eliminated overtimes playing college rules, but the IAM is still playing double overtime.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's just so annoying.
That's really interesting that they're still why are they still doing it? Yeah, college got rid of it.
I don't know because the MIAA decided to go to the college rule. The high school rule is still to play overtime.
I got to tell you, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to college soccer. God, it's wonderful.
It is.
I mean, it stinks because Loyola's had 12 draws this season.
I know, but it's so from an outsider's perspective that's not playing the game. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
I got one more real one, KZ. Pickens or Christian Watson?
Watson.
Okay. All right. Pickens or Devontae Smith?
Devonta Smith?
Yeah. They played Miami.
The wide receiver from the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yes.
Smith.
Okay.
All right, very good. Let's go. We got to get the picks, man. We're struggling today. Picks are brought to you this week by Superbook. That's where we get all of the odds from. Use the code GlennClark23 when you sign up at Superbook.com or download the Superbook app. And when you do, you will receive a same-day first bet match up to $250, win or lose. That's Superbook.com or the Superbook app. Sign up today. Use that code GlennClark23. The contest at hand, 11 of us in this bad boy. At the top, playing for a little bit of cash. At the bottom, the loser is going to have to come in here dressed as the Notre Dame mascot, eating blood sausage, haggis, and tripe. They have to take an Irish dance lesson and then perform said Irish dance for us and also perform both Nothing Compares to You and Zombie. Where we are at this point, at the top of the table, we find one Ken Zalis by his lonesome. One game in front of Andrew Stecca, 2 games in front of Dr. Nick Kelly, 3 games in front of Kyle Ottenheimer, 4 in front of myself, John Proctor, and John Little Rock, 5 in front of Griffin and Paul Valley. Ryan Shell would be at the bottom of the table, but Jeremy Kahn it's been a bit of a struggle to launch since he joined the class. He's just 11-14 over his first few weeks with us. And remember, he's got to make up all of the wins in order to match Ryan. That's how much hubris Jeremy had when he joined our crew. So he's got a good amount of distance, 17 games behind Ryan Shell, in order to make it up. 3 college games, 6 NFL games to pick as every week. Where are we starting on the college level?
We are starting in the Shipyard, Air Force Navy in Annapolis. The game is at noon on CBS. And Air Force, they are 10.5-point favorites.
To be honest, I'm a little surprised it's only 10.5. I was hoping this number would be bigger so that I could bite on Navy, but Air Force is good, man. I know they're still benefiting from, I think, some of the, they had a term for it, like givebacks, like the fact that they had players during the COVID year, like just get off the roster so that they could get them back and keep them around a little bit longer, whereas the other academies weren't able to do that. But they've been very impressive, right? Like they pasted San Diego State, they pasted Utah State. The WAC is, or the Mountain West, I mean, not the WAC, the old WAC. The Mountain West is good this year. I know they had a tight one with Wyoming, but Wyoming's really good. Navy's got some quarterback troubles, injury issues in particular. Their defense is really, that's the only thing is that, like, Navy's defense is really good, and that's the one thing that makes you believe they could keep this interesting, but ultimately I think Air Force should be more like a 2-touchdown favorite, and so I'm going to bite on the points that way and take Air Force.
Yeah, my only hesitation here is anytime these academies get together, it's just they know each other so well that they tend to have lower scoring games and muck it up. They don't want to run up the score on anybody.
It was a 3-point game in Annapolis last year, for example.
I know. Yeah, I mean it's always close, but everything numerically, trending and who teams have played and beaten tells you this shouldn't be close. So I'm going to take Air Force and really hate doing it.
I disagree with both of you. We know this game is going to be under, and that means it will be a closer score. Also, since 2005, Navy as a double-digit underdog, 28-16.
I hear you, but those were much better Navy teams.
I'm with you.
I'm taking Navy.
I don't like doing it.
Those were Navy teams with far better offenses that you're talking about.
I'm taking Navy and the under.
All
right. Joining me on the midshipman is John and Little Rock, of course. Ryan Shell, Andrew Stecca, and Jeremy Kahn.
Well, you got the 2 guys that are at the bottom of the table. Then you got the
Andrew's at the top, or near second place. So.
Go ahead.
Penn State College Game Day. And in Columbus, Penn State at Ohio State, number 7 at number 3, and Ohio State are 4.5-point favorites.
That's interesting.
That's low? Or do you think it should be?
I thought this would be closer to like a pick'em, to be honest with you. I don't know where that love
bullish on Penn State.
But I just don't know where the love for Ohio State is coming from.
They're Ohio State.
That's fine. What have they actually done this season that has made them deserving of getting such
They beat a good Maryland team. Well,
that's right. No, they beat a good Notre Dame team. Sure. I get that they're at home. I get that it's Ohio State. I just feel like that's too many points. I got to jump on Penn State here.
My problem here is I never trust Penn State in the game.
I get it.
I just don't. And they did more times than not. You're proven right when you don't trust them in a big game. But I actually think they're just better than Ohio State, and I'm getting points. So I'm going to take Penn State. I hate both my picks so far. I'm just telling you.
I mean, I get it. I'm with you.
I just don't trust. I've never trusted them in a big game.
I completely understand what you're saying. This is Penn State that we're talking about. They also care about the point spreads at Penn State.
So
that does matter for what if they have an opportunity late, down by 2 scores to get a cover. It has been proven that James Franklin's doing something for the alumni this season. Like he has been trying to help the alums a little bit. So if they've got an opportunity late, right? Like they're down by 10 and they should probably just pack it in, run the ball. Like he might be throwing for the end zone.
If they're down by
still.
7, he may just kick a field goal.
Just in order to get.
Because he knows it's 4.5. And, I don't trust Penn State in big games either. But, since James Franklin's betting on games this year, it changes things. He's 1-8 against Ohio State, but he is 7-2 against the spread against Ohio State.
Woo!
So I'm going to take Penn State as well. And this one.
Give me 2 claps and a nature boy.
Yeah. Woo! John in Little Rock is not happy that we have to pick this game, but
he's very mad that he didn't get an SEC game this week. We debated it. It all ultimately came down to whether Riley Leonard was going to play for Duke.
Florida State's going to be in the playoffs, so we got to learn about this Seminoles team.
Keep going. Who else picked what?
Penn State. John on so all of us on Penn State. Kyle is on Penn State. John is on Penn State.
Which John? We have
John
2 Johns. Thank you.
Proctor is on Ohio State. Paul is on Ohio State. Dr. Nick Kelly, Ryan, Andrew, and Jeremy.
Let's just say everyone else moving forward instead of let's just pick which one of the teams.
We're on the
name
short
everybody
side.
who's on that, and then say everybody else is on. All right.
Everybody else on the other side. Number 16 Duke at number 4 Florida State. This is Saturday night, 7:30 on ABC, and the Seminoles 14.5-point favorites.
Didn't we already do this once this year?
No, we did Duke Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely the first. Definitely the first
LSU.
time we've ever picked 2 Duke games in a season for sure.
I mean, couple.
That is a big number though, right? Like that is a big number. I don't care. One of them's Duke, the other one's Florida State. Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, we did this the last time, and they got hammered. It didn't get. I think it was a big number that time. We all said it all. Duke's pretty good. Stop. Florida State.
I agree with you guys.
Go ahead, I dare you.
I still think Duke's good. I think Riley Leonard does play too, but I think Florida State is really good, and it's not going to matter if hobbled Riley Leonard plays or not. So I will take Florida State. Most of us on Florida State, those taking the Dukies, John in Little Rock, Ryan Shell, and Andrew Stetka, 3 on the Blue Devils. And then we move to tonight's Amazon Prime, Jags at New Orleans, and the Saints, they are 1-point favorites.
That feels like a number that was created based on Trevor Lawrence's status, right? Like if Trevor Lawrence was healthy, what would that number be? I would think that it would be more like 3, I would think, if Trevor Lawrence was healthy. It almost feels like that's what you're betting on right now. Do you think Trevor Lawrence is playing? I'm the Jags. Let's just not. I get it. The Saints defense has been really good. The Jaguars have. I guess last week was the first time they really looked like they were firing on all cylinders. But the Jaguars. If Trevor Lawrence plays, it's definitively the Jaguars. So I'll bet that he plays. It's the Jaguars.
Yeah, he's trending like he's playing. Look, New Orleans can't score in the red zone. It just is what it is.
Jamal Williams is back.
Too many, huh?
Jamal Williams, he's back.
I know.
Red zone specialist.
Good. I'm
My
with
fantasy
you.
team needs him.
And the defense is really good, but you're picking who's going to win the game, and I think the Jaguars are the better team. They looked really good last week. I've never believed in Derek Carr, so I'll take the Jags.
It's a primetime game. Unders this season are 56-36. The Saints are 6-0 to the under this season, so my pick is the under.
That doesn't help us.
That doesn't help me.
Yeah, we need to pick a team.
All right, I'll go with the Jags.
Thank you.
The Saints are looking for their 5th straight win though against the Jags. Last time that the Jags beat the Saints was 2003 when Trevor Lawrence was 4 years old.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
To be fair, he didn't play in any of this games.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Taking
the Saints were better.
We're better, yeah.
Yes.
We're pretty split.
We all do this where we fall in love with these numbers. Like, wow, what a number that is. And then we're like,
great.
wait, it
Like,
has
since
nothing to do with the game
2003,
that's
how many
being.
times they played 5 times.
I'm guilty of this myself.
We are largely split. 5 of us on the Saints, 6 to the Jags. Those on the Saints: Paul Valley, John in Little Rock, Dr. Nick Kelly, Andrew Stetka, and Jeremy Kahn
Ooh,
are
boy.
taking the New Orleans
boy.
Saints.
All right.
Now on to Sunday: Cleveland at Indianapolis, and the Browns on the road, 2.5-point favorites.
Wow. How about? It feels like that number. Like it's bizarre that the Browns, coming off what they did, would be dogs against the Colts. But I also kind of get it. Like, it's hard to believe the Browns can do that again with P.J. Walker. That said, the defense is as legitimate as it gets. So I will continue to roll with the Browns. So give me the Browns.
Unless they play the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, the defense was good for 3 quarters of that game, and the 1 quarter the Ravens did enough.
This comes down to the Browns defense. I mean, we're talking about backup quarterback versus backup quarterback. The Browns have been very stingy on the ground, which is, Indianapolis is averaging 25 rushes plus a game. Jonathan Taylor kind of looked like he was back in the good graces of everyone last week with 20-plus carries and things like that. But Minshew is a great backup quarterback. He's very average as a starter. So I'll take a good defense over an average quarterback. I'll take the Browns.
I'm going to do the same thing. That's basically my thinking. I think the Browns probably, they win this one, so I'll take the Browns. I don't know if John Little Rock's more upset about picking this game or the ACC game, using expletives to describe both games.
We try to pick the AFC North teams because we're paying attention to them during the course of the year.
He just gave me a really question mark.
I mean, I don't think it's the greatest game of the week, but I don't know if he's heard there's 6 teams on byes this week.
He's taking the Colts in this one. Right. And joining him on the Colts is Jeremy Kahn, the only 2 taking the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody on the Browns.
I mean, I used to be concerned about the fact that I'm picking all of my games the opposite way of Jeremy Kahn, but I'm just not sure anymore.
Moving on into the 4 o'clock window on Fox, Pittsburgh Steelers at the LA Rams. And the Rams, 3-point favorites.
You want to do the bit where you say the Steelers coming off a bye, and there's no real home field advantage in Los Angeles. There's probably going to be more Steelers fans there than there are Rams fans. Like, the Steelers fans travel. It's probably a destination trip on top of everything else. They're cockroaches. Like, there's probably going to be 60-40 Steelers fans for this game. At the same time, it requires me to trust that the Steelers can do anything offensively or that their opponent will have a meltdown. And I know that it's happened. It's happened a couple times this year. There's a reason the Steelers are 3-2. But I'm not going to count on it this week. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams are playing good football. I know we don't know who the running back's going to be this week, but I don't know that it matters. Their passing game is terrific. They're protecting Matt Stafford. And the offense, until the offense, and maybe getting, Deontay Johnson back makes all the difference in the offense. It can't hurt. But the offense looks awful, and until it looks better, I can't select them to win a football game. So I'm going to take the Rams.
I don't really have. Other than the Steelers just look bad, and the Rams are they're home, not that big of an advantage, but they're playing in Los Angeles, so Pittsburgh had to travel far, and they've been having travel issues, I guess, all season too. So whatever, I'm going to go with the Rams here. Taking the Steelers is Kyle, John Proctor, John and Little Rock taking the Steelers. Andrew and Jeremy Kahn
All
on
right.
the Steelers as well.
I think I have picked every game the opposite
Every
of
game
Jeremy
opposite
Kahn so
Kahn,
far.
yeah.
I really believe that it's been
worked
a
out so far.
clean slate opposite Jeremy Kahn this week.
And then also in the 4 o'clock window, 4:25 on CBS.
It's gonna be awkward when he says he thinks he's got a 9-0 week in him at some point. It's gonna be really awkward when this is the week.
LA Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs 5.5-point favorites.
The other thing I think I'm doing is I'm picking a lot of favorites, and I don't like that. But this number isn't big enough. Like this should be over a touchdown. The Chiefs struggle when they're big favorites, but they don't tend to struggle when they're favorites of less than a touchdown. They tend to handle that fairly well. I know the Chiefs still don't seem like they're firing on all cylinders, and I don't think that Mecole Hardman's going to change that, but you want me to trust that this is going to be the week where the Chargers don't turn the ball over in a massive spot at the end of the game? You want me to trust that this is the week where they put it all together? No chance. Chiefs.
Yeah, the number's not big enough for me. Kansas City, and I actually think they win by double digits.
The number is big enough for me. I think 5.5. I mean, it's not a ton, but I think it's enough for the Chargers to keep it close in games that are typically close. The Chargers are 5-1 against the spread in the last 6 against the Chiefs. And yeah, Justin Herbert just has that weird thing where he just seems to find a cover, I feel like, especially in these division games. So I'll take the Chargers, and most of us are actually on the Chargers. On the Chiefs is Glenn and Ken, and John Proctor on the Chiefs, as well as Andrew Stetka. Everybody else on the Chargers. You guys are once again against Jeremy Kahn.
We're going to be against Jeremy Kahn maybe for the rest of our lives. It's starting to seem. Yeah.
Sunday Night Football, Miami at Philly. Eagles, 2.5-point favorites.
I have no idea what to do with this game. I might as well flip a coin on this one.
Do it.
The thing that you would say is that Miami's playing a little bit better than Philadelphia is right now. Jalen Hurts has got to stop throwing interceptions. You're getting points with Miami.
I just wonder if this is an overreaction to last week. You know, I still think the Eagles are really, really good. But if this becomes a high-scoring game, in high-scoring games, I'm not going to go against the Dolphins this year. So I'm getting points. I don't like it, but I'll take Miami.
Yeah, same thing. I'm just gonna lean towards the hotter team, and I think that's Miami right now, since the Eagles are coming off a loss, obviously. So yeah, they have the more high-powered offense. When push comes to shove, I'm gonna lean towards offense at this day and age. So I will go with the Miami Dolphins over the Eagles as well. So us three on the Dolphins, as well as Paul Valley, Kyle Ottenheimer, and Andrew Stetka. Everybody else, including Jeremy Kahn.
This is what a world. What a world. What a world, man. I'm not kidding. I think it's a clean sweep.
Detroit at the Baltimore Ravens. Final game of the slate. 1 o'clock. Ravens 3-point favorites. What's the deal?
I've tried talking myself out of it all week. Detroit's the pick, man. I don't know why the Ravens are 3-point favorites in this game. I think the number should be 1.5. And I don't know how I'd pick it if it was 1.5. But I'm literally just picking it because I think the line's wrong. I don't think that the Ravens should be 3-point favorites against the Lions on Sunday. I don't think that they are a definitively better team than the Lions are, and you don't get 3 points anymore from Vegas just for being at home. So I think this line is wrong. Because I think the line is wrong, I'm going with Detroit. The Ravens could very well. It smells like a push, right? But at the same time, if I say it smells like a push, it says I think the Ravens are going to win, and I'm not even sure of that. So this is in my mind, the correct thing to do is to pick the team when two good teams play. Pick the team that's getting the points. Give me the Lions.
So I thought I saw a stat this week that in the last 7 times that the Ravens faced teams that were playoff teams, and I think we can all agree that the Lions are a playoff team, right?
Probably, yes.
Division winners.
They're 1-6.
Okay, I'll look for that.
Now, I think in 3 of those games, Lamar didn't play, but
Kind of matters.
I think I've been on the Lions all year. I think they're really, really good. They're playing really, really well. You can't get near Jared Goff right now. I'm going to take the Lions. I'm getting points. Who I think is the better football team right now. So I'm going to take the Lions.
Wow, I mean, this game's going to be close, and whenever they play the Lions, it feels like it does come down to a Justin Tucker field goal, and it's
In
because
Detroit, it feels that
that's
way.
true. That is true.
Yeah.
But since this Detroit team is
Justin
good,
Tucker is not making a 60-plus yard kick in Baltimore.
He could win. It's
He
going to be windy
could.
that day. What direction is the wind?
61? That's 60 plus.
Maybe 61. Maybe he sure as hell ain't making a 66-yarder.
Regardless, it's going to be close. I saw this stat. Detroit is 10-0 against the spread since 2019 when they are coming off a game in which they allowed less than 17 points. They allowed 6 to Tampa Bay last week.
Quite
and
a
plus,
stat.
I mean, I was already on the Lions. I'm taking the Lions as well. A rare spot where I will be going against the Ravens in this one. We do have 3 takers of the Baltimore Ravens: Paul Valley, John in Little Rock,
And
Nick.
Jeremy Kahn.
Jeremy Kahn is the third one, yes.
Son of a bitch. That's unbelievable.
Nick Kelly's on the Lions. He sent
That's
me
unbelievable. Wait, how did he pick the Florida State game?
who did he pick in the Florida State game? He did take Florida State.
All right, so it's the only one.
Yes.
That's the only game. Wait, did Ken? Did you and I pick every game the same way this week?
You guys
too?
pick You guys
don't
pick
like this.
similar
I
a
don't like
lot.
this.
Did we? I don't know if it was every
like
game.
this.
Let's see. Both
We were. It was surprising
Penn
how similar we
State,
were this week.
Florida.
But I
Jags,
couldn't find the stat you were talking about. Our
Browns.
friend Spencer Schultz said, home games, or these are in by year, home wins against teams that finished with a winning record. In 2020, they had 1 home win over a team with a winning record. In 2021, 2 home wins against a team with a winning record, and in 2022, 1 home win against a team that finished with a winning record. Now, again, Lamar Jackson misses time in there. That does matter. And not every team that they play finishes with a winning record. So, I don't learn everything that I can learn from that stat, but,
Glenn, are you wearing a Navy jacket?
I am wearing.
And you picked against them?
And I picked Air Force. Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed that.
Yeah, I don't
By the
know.
way,
Don't bring attention to it. I don't know that the folks at Loyola would love that.
I'm sorry. I just noticed it.
Yeah, I am wearing it.
It's just
That is true.
I don't even know what you call this.
I don't know if it was coincidence or
Quarter
what.
zip.
It's not a quarter zip, is it? Because
Yeah,
it comes
is.
up.
Looks
this
like
is
a quarter zip.
It's like a
I
turtle,
can't tell.
but it's like
You're sitting down.
It's like a turtleneck. It's like
Is it?
yeah, it comes all the way up here. Like
Well, yeah, but that gets it. How far does the zipper go down?
No, I get what you're saying, but the
Quarter.
zipper starts up
It's
above
a quarter
where-
zip.
I think it starts above where a typical quarter zip
By
starts.
the way, can I get extra points if I take the buy minus 3.5?
Oh, stop it, you. Stop it. You finally feel good about yourself because you called a Maryland game. Got one. Finally got one this year, didn't
But it's
he?
the one we always get, right?
Finally got one. All right, pal. Fantasy pros. I will need more help from you because I got to figure out.
Yeah,
How to...
we all need help. Everybody's hurt and everybody's on buy.
Yeah,
Because
well,
for
but I
some
got to
reason-
massage
for
my.
some reason, as we complain all the time, the NFL for some
put
unknown
6
reason
teams.
just skips a week of buys, so we have to have
Yes.
6 this week.
6 teams on buys this week.
They just want to make fantasy more interesting for us. I guess.
I'm gonna inevitably. I think what I figured out I'm gonna do is if McCaffrey doesn't play, then I'll play Osborne and I'll have to drop Jeff. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm going to do because I can't go into Monday without knowing if Christian McCaffrey's playing or not. It's gonna be a real problem for me.
Keep us posted.
When he
Yeah.
practices in full tomorrow, you'll be.
Yeah, I can make a decision at that point. All right, buddy. At Fans
Thanks,
Fantasy
guys.
on Twitter. We'll
Twitty.
see you. Thanks, pal.
Okay.
Ken Zalis with us as he is every week for picks. We'll get him up at glennclarkradio.com. I gotta remember how to talk. I just think I said next week's for picks. I don't know what's going on here. My brain, my mouth, they got a fire on synapses, and it's just not happening anymore. It's very frustrating for me. Programming update for today. First of all, today's show brought to you by the Baltimore County Police Department. They are hosting a community and hiring event coming up on Saturday, October 28th, which is 1 week from this Saturday. So not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday. Get to the Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. If you're thinking about a career in the Baltimore County Police Department, you can go through the entire process. written tests, agility test, application process, all of it. Talk to members of the specialized units about career paths that might be available for you within the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-4584 or go to joinbaltimorecountypd.com. But if you're not thinking about a career in the Baltimore County Police Department, it's still a great day to get over because it's just a nice, safe environment for the kids to put their costumes on and go around and get some candy, as it is a trunk or treat event for the community as well. So again, 1 week from this Saturday, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson, the Public Safety Building with the Baltimore County Police Department. Here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back in. We're going to do Tidbit and Tubular. Then we're going to talk to our longtime friend Jarret Johnson is going to rejoin the program. Okay. Double J is coming back to town this weekend to be a part of Terrell Suggs' Ring of Honor festivities, and I happened to check in with him, and he was like, hey, man, I'll check in with you at noon. I said, okay, we'll make it work, and then we'll wrap up the show with segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show. So that's what's coming up as we continue along here in GCR.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The Maryland 5-Star returns to iconic Fair Hill October 19th to 22nd, marking the next chapter in Maryland's equestrian tradition. Best described as the triathlon of horse eventing, you won't want to miss this thrilling sport. Enjoy a fall festival with local fare, retail vendors, and tons of family fun. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront with vibrant small towns and accommodations to suit every desire. It's the place to be in October. Visit Maryland5star.us for tickets.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to pressboxonline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of Pressbox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, November 7th at Guilford Home Brewery in Station North. It's brought to you by AJ Michaels, Superbook Sports, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? AJ Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Make sure you're tuned in every Tuesday for PressBox fantasy football analyst Joe Serpico to get you ready for your Waiver Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. And if you have other fantasies you want fulfilled, subscribe to Glenn and Jeremy Kahn's OnlyFans page at... Wait, are people supposed to know about that?
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by Live Casino and Hotel. Griffin, you want to tell everybody what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
Yeah, the second chance to win drawing is going on. Maybe luck wasn't on your side in a recent bet at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Well, you can get ready to turn those losses into winning opportunities with the second chance to win promotion between now and January 4th, 2024. All Live Casino and Hotel Maryland Rewards members will be able to enter their losing bet slips into the second chance to win drum, and 2 nights a week, 20 different winners will be chosen. Prizes ranging from Live Casino and Hotel Maryland apparel, sports and social, ultimate happy hour, cash, and free play prizes worth up to $500. Drawings will be held every Thursday and Monday over at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What you got?
For tidbit today, we have so Asia Wilson. She became the 6th player in WNBA history to be the number 1 overall draft pick, league MVP, and finals MVP. To win all three, or to win both, to win a finals MVP, to win an MVP award, and be the first overall pick. You try to guess the other 5, or name 1 or 2 of them.
The problem is I don't know who went number 1 overall. Like that's the issue here. So I'm just gonna be guessing. I'm gonna guess Candace Parker.
Candace Parker is on the list.
I'm gonna guess Sue Bird.
Sue Bird is not on this list.
Okay. I'm gonna guess Diana Taurasi.
Diana Taurasi is on the list.
I'm gonna guess. I guess we could go all the way back to like Rebecca Lobo.
No, not Rebecca Lobo.
She might predate the draft era, honestly. How about Brittany Griner?
Not Brittany Griner.
I might struggle all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Maya Moore?
Maya Moore is on the list.
Okay.
2 more. One is very recent.
One is very recent.
Recent number 1 overall pick.
Ionescu hasn't won. Very recent. I don't know. Brianna Stewart?
Brianna Stewart.
Okay.
Correct. And then also Lauren Jackson is the
yeah,
final
okay,
one on
that
this
makes
list.
sense.
Yes.
Sure.
Astros, they are now 18-2 in the playoffs when Yordan Alvarez has an RBI. There's only one other player in MLB history
with the 2 games, the first 2 games of the series.
Did he have an RBI in those?
It felt
games?
like he was the only guy that was. Maybe he didn't have an RBI, just had hit.
Yeah.
He just felt like he was the only guy that was producing it all.
I'm not sure when the 2 losses were actually, but there's one other player to have a career 900 winning percentage in the postseason when he records an RBI. Also 18-2. Any guess at who that may be? Yeah, I guess it's pretty impossible.
Say it again.
900 career winning percentage. He's 18-2. His team is 18-2 when he has an RBI. Jordan Alvarez and this man.
No.
1930s.
Oh, if you'd said that, Hank Greenberg.
No.
Yeah, just tell him we gotta.
Lou Gehrig.
Okay.
Lou
He was
Gehrig.
good.
Do you want to? I mean, is that good for today, or do you want to?
I mean, do you have something you think is great?
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a solid tidbit here.
It's gonna take 5 minutes for me to guess.
I think so.
Okay,
Travis
then maybe.
Kelce.
Quick.
Oh, I thought that meant quick.
Quick, go.
Travis Kelce had 120 yards last Thursday.
Okay.
He is now 2nd all-time, most games with 120 yards. Can you name the top 6 here? So 5 other tight ends.
Receiving yards.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all tight ends.
Yes, among tight ends, most receiving yards. Most games with 120
Shannon
receiving
Sharp.
yards. Shannon Sharp has 10 games with 120 receiving yards.
Rob Gronkowski.
Gronkowski is who Travis Kelce surpassed with 12, so yes.
Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is Tony Gonzalez is number 1.
Okay. Gates.
16 games. Antonio Gates, yes. Look at you.
I need one more.
You do need one more, and this is the toughest
Witten.
one. No, not Jason Witten.
Vernon Davis.
Got to go way back.
Gotta go way back. Ozzie Newsome.
Not Ozzie Newsome. Even further back.
Even further back
He was
than
a
Ozzie Newsome.
Philadelphia Eagle in the 50s and 60s. So, yeah, I'm not sure if this guy is even on your radar.
Harold Carmichael is well after that.
His first name's Pete. Pete Retzlaff.
Oh yeah, Pete Retzlaff.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if that was.
Yeah, it does not
gonna be one on your radar at all. Well, 10 games with 120.
Maybe he played with my wife's grandfather.
Right. That's actually you're
maybe
probably
maybe they were teammates.
1956 is that?
I think I think he predates 56.
Damn.
I think he was more around World War II. So I think I haven't done a whole deep dive into it.
Mark Andrews has 3 of these games for what it's worth.
All right. Very good. Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Tubular is brought to you by the print issue of Pressbox, which is available for free right now. Your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Pressbox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. On the cover, a collage of the survivors, the position players who were holdovers from the Dan Duquette era that went through some dark times only to help the team turn around completely this season. Anthony Santander, Cedric Mullins, Ryan Mountcastle, Austin Hayes. Great story from Todd Karpovich. Lots of Brooks Robinson reflection in this print issue of Pressbox as well. Go pick it up for free today at your neighborhood Royal Farms. Here's what's coming up tonight. As I mentioned, both series continue tonight. TBS, 5 o'clock for Game 3 between the Phillies and Diamondbacks. Rangers Suarez and Brandon Pfaadt, or whatever. Did we ever figure it out? We should really get to the bottom of that.
We'll have to watch
it's the pitching matchup. Fox Sports 1 for Game 4 in the ALCS as the Astros try to even it up. They send Jose Urquidy against Andrew Heaney at 8 o'clock. Morgan State returns to action. They had to take a little hiatus after, unfortunately, the shooting that occurred on campus, but they will be back tonight, 7:30 on ESPNU against North Carolina Central. Jaguars and Saints, 8:15 on Amazon Prime to kick off Week 7 in the NFL. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence plays, or I have even bigger roster problems. Big Ten Network for Wisconsin, Maryland, women's soccer at 8 o'clock. Some college football, ESPN2, Rice Tulsa at 7, ESPN James Madison Marshall at 7, Blackhawks Avalanche 10:30 on ESPN, Oilers Flyers at 7:30 on ESPN Plus and Hulu. Golf Channel for the Zozo Championship in Japan, round 2 at 11 o'clock. Everything else, GlennClarkRadio.com. Anything non-sports-wise?
Not really. It's a good night for sports. Loki at 9
Fortunately,
p.m.
Colbert got sick, and the Talking Heads thing didn't even happen last night. Just cancel it all.
Unbelievable.
Just cancel it all, right? That's it?
What if they're playing
That's all you got?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay,
Loki on Disney Plus. Check it out.
All right, Tubular was also brought to you today by, this one was brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Before we get out of here today, we will bring you segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show from Mother's North Grill this week, featuring Jadeveon Clowney, including we got a little bit more into the legendary hit against Vincent Smith in Michigan all those years ago. We'll get to that here coming up before we wrap up today's show. But this weekend, Sunday, the Baltimore Ravens will induct Terrell Suggs into their Ring of Honor, and I happen to see that our next guest is coming back to town, and it's been a little while, man. We haven't caught up with him in quite a bit. But he was, once upon a time, part of the same draft class in 2003 as Terrell Suggs. They came up together. He is the man himself, Double J, Jarret Johnson, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Jarret, it's Glenn. It's great to catch up, brother. Hope you're doing great. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yeah, no problem. Good to hear from you guys.
Man, take me back to, you got drafted by the Baltimore Ravens just a couple of rounds after this guy, Terrell Suggs. Did you know anything at all about the guy at the time, and what was like your first interaction like that you ever had with him?
Yeah, so the first time I'd ever heard his name, so my junior year, I'd had quite a few sacks, not a lot, but I was pretty good for the SEC. Had like 9 sacks in my senior year. I was wanting to beat that. I was wanting to have double-digit sacks, and that was a goal of mine. And, so I was, going into that season, kind of looking out like who are the other really good pass rushers, whatever. Turns out didn't have as good. I mean, had a good season, just didn't have the production as a pass rusher. Only had 5 sacks my senior year, but I remember like watching the national sack totals, and there's this name, this Suggs guy, that was just putting up ridiculous numbers. I mean, he had, as a junior, he had 24 sacks in a season, which is just unheard of. And I remember looking at it, thinking like, "This is a typo. Like, there's no way this is right." Like, but that's the first time I'd ever heard his name. And then obviously, got drafted together, came in our first mini camp. We were roommates together, and my first impression of him, number one, just how he was I would say the first thing that I was impressed with is how calm he was and how comfortable he was around the vets. Whereas, I was a nervous wreck. I was just fighting for my life, trying to make a name for myself. This guy came in, fun-loving attitude, great to be around. He was like a big kid, kind of silly. But when it came to football, I mean, he was one of the first premier top-tier, just God-given athletes I'd ever been around. Obviously he was rookie of the year, his rookie year, or defensive rookie of the year at 12 sacks. I mean, just unbelievable player to be around.
Did you get a sense? We'll talk about his personality because my God, right? But did you get a sense of what made him so special? We know he's physically imposing, but there's a lot of dudes at this level that are physically. I've been around you. You're pretty physically imposing, right? What made him so special at the art of wrecking and creating hell for quarterbacks?
Well, I would say, he came into the league built as a pass rusher. When you watched him play at Arizona State, we used to call it the Sis 11 technique because he was so wide. He was almost outside of the frame of the game film coming off that edge, and that's what he did. He was an up-the-field pass rusher, and that's what he came in as. But what made him great is the ability to take that skill set that he had, that dominance that he had, but then adapt and become really good in pass rush. Yeah. Become really good in the run-stopping game, being able to run blitz packages. I played with Dwight Freeney for 3 years in San Diego, and he was an elite pass rusher, but he just did one thing. I mean, he got wide, and he screamed off the edge. When it came to the run and all the other things, he really wasn't that interested. He was still a great player in his own right, but Terrell, in my opinion, was much more of a complete player where he adapted his game. He understood that if he played well on first and second down, he could get to third and long and then get wide, do his thing, come off that edge, as well as run all the multiple blitz packages and, all the spinner formations that we had. He was really, really good in those packages. So he was just a really complete player.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I think it's the most undertold story or part of Terrell Suggs' game is how he, to your point, started as an edge rush specialist and became one of the most complete linebackers in all of football. It was wild to behold that during the course of his career. Jarret Johnson is with us here on GCR. Jarret, I feel like when you bring up him fitting in seamlessly with the veterans, it speaks to what everyone knows of who Terrell Suggs was. And this was a big personality team, right? Like when you guys arrived, it was still just on the heels of them having done Hard Knocks before that. And we all saw these personalities on this team. Do you feel like in order for him to have been the player that he was, he had to also be able to be the personality that he was?
Yeah, Terrell was a perfect fit for us, because we had so many, like you said, so many personalities, so many intense personalities, Ray and Ed and some of the other characters that maybe didn't carry such a high-profile name, but we had a lot of really intense players in the locker room. But to offset that, you had your characters. Your guys are always playing jokes or, just keeping you laughing, keeping things light. And the season is so long and everybody's dealing with injuries. Everybody's dealing with things back home or off the field. Everybody's under pressure. It's a high-stress game. So if you don't have that ability to laugh and cut up and relax, it makes the room so much better. And Terrell was such a good counterbalance to the intensity that particular team had. It was a perfect fit. And, I think early on, Terrell, as he was, even though he had a bunch of production early in his career, he wasn't starting. He was a role player. He was coming in on third down. He was a top 10 pick, so there was a lot of pressure on him. And I think early on that pressure affected him, but it allowed him, his personality, gave him time to develop. He morphed into early on. He was just able to focus on his play and not have to worry about, being the face of the franchise, because we already had that.
Right.
We had 2 or 3 guys that you could call the face of the franchise. And then over his career, he did, especially after I left and Ray retired, he became that guy. He became, the voice, the leader, the stand-up veteran. But for his first, I would say 7 or 8 years, he could just relax and be Terrell and just do what he had to do, and just kept things light, kept things fun, as well as being extremely productive.
Do you feel like there's a chance, by the way, that like somehow he didn't even get fully appreciated for his greatness because, as you point out, he was sharing a defense with, 2 of the greatest players in the history of football, and like that somehow, well, everybody talked about the Ravens' defense, that maybe Terrell Suggs never fully got all of the respect that he should get as one of the best players in all of football because everybody was talking about Ray and Ed for so many years.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, in my mind, he's top 3 in the franchise history as far as defensive players go. So if I think if you don't give him his respect, you're not really paying attention and seeing just how dominant he was, how multiple he was, how much of a complete player he was. But anybody, you're always going to fall prey to that when you play with a personality like a Ray and an Ed and some of those other ones. And and it's I don't think it's a knock on anybody. It's just the way it is.
I get it.
And Ray and Ed deserve that.
Of course,
they earned that. They were those players.
So, okay, you said jokes, right? Do you have any stories that you could tell? Because I'm sure there are some that you cannot, right? I have no doubt there'd be some like, bro, that one's going to the grave. Like, that's just the way that it goes. But are there any that you could tell, because everyone knows that this is, I mean, like, this is who this man was? Do you have one that you would be willing to share with us?
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, there was a lot of good ones. They stole I can't remember if it was Art's golf cart or one of the equipment guys' golf cart that they used to run equipment around. It was in the indoor facility, and somehow they squeezed it into the double doors from the indoor facility into the hallway and managed to get it all the way to the linebacker's position room. They drove the golf cart all the way through the facility. My favorite one is which I'm sure you guys hated, is when it was the media time in the locker room, and you would have 20 or 30 reporters and live feeds and video cameras, all this stuff, and he would go, if you were doing an interview if you were interviewing somebody that was next to his locker, he would go put on his jock strap and stand in the background on his stool and be pretending to look for something in the top of his locker. So, and it was funny because there'd be like 15 reporters and they're all like jockeying for position for the interview, but now they're all jockeying trying to get Terrell's butt out of the shot. And he would like move around.
By the way, it was particularly frustrating because Halodi's locker was like right next to Terrell, and so there was regularly someone. And if I remember correctly, Marshall was over there too at the beginning of his career. And so these are guys that you regularly wanted to talk to when you were in the locker room. These were not nobodies that were next to Terrell Suggs, and you always had to deal with these types of things.
I'm trying to think of some other.
There was
a lot of good ones. It was a ton of fun.
I'm imagining that at some point it would have been his goal to actually have gotten multiple golf carts and try to have created golf cart races down the hallway at some point, and I don't know if that ever occurred, but that would have been would have been really great, man. Double J, let's let me get caught up with you, right? Like, I know it's been a few years since you've been in Baltimore. You said, I'm getting out of this thing, man. I'm just gonna go have a life. I'm not doing football all the time anymore. What's going on with you? How are things in your world?
Yeah, we're good, man. We just, doing the dad thing. I got two kids play soccer and tennis. We're busy with them. But yeah, I was doing radio, traveling with the team, and we were actually moving back and going full time back in the ball, with the personnel department. And COVID kicked off, and whole world shut down, and we didn't even know if there was going to be an NFL season that year. So ended up not making the transition. Ended up staying here and gotten involved in some other projects. I got a coffee shop, and I got some real estate stuff, and still fishing a bunch, and trying to keep up with ball as much as I can. I do miss Baltimore. It's a special place to me, and but you get so busy with travel sports and all the other things. So
were you able to
I'm happy to get back up there.
Were you able to decompress and spend the Sunday like not watching football and just be like, bro, I'm just gonna go fishing today and not think about it? Or did you still find yourself like obsessively watching every game, and instead, because you weren't talking about them on the radio, you were like talking about them with your kids, and they were like, Dad, we don't care this much, man. Like,
I know. Yeah, no, I think I'm in a healthy spot. I just went on a trip with Ray Lewis, and he was telling me about how this was his first year, since he started playing, that he can sit and enjoy his weekends and not worry about watching film or keeping up with what's going on in the league. He can just kind of watch as a fan or not watch at all, and how much that, it was a transition for him, but how much he was kind of enjoying it, just doing other things. And I've kind of been like that for a while now. When I was doing radio, I obviously kept up, with all the things that were going on with the team and the league. And now I just kind of watch as a fan. I love watching football. I got teammates that hate watching. I've never been like that. I've always been a fan of the game and enjoying just sitting back and watching the game. But if I miss a game, if if there's some drama going on that I don't know about, I don't really lose sleep over it.
Yeah, right.
I do wish I'd kept up with the team a little more, because I don't really even know like all their players and all the things that are going on. I just kind of watch as a fan and enjoy it.
Hey man, that's not a bad way to do it, and it won't be a bad way to spend the day. It's a heck of a game actually for you to be up here for this weekend. By the way, it's a really good one. What a world we're in! What a world it is where the Lions are good, Jarret. Like, we're really excited about a game against the Lions in Baltimore.
I know. Who would have thought? But that's the beauty of the league, is it always kind of counterbalances, and bad teams can't be bad forever unless they're Cleveland. But everybody else seems to find a way to.
Well done,
it's only
bro.
funny because it's true.
Well done, bro. Well done. That that one's gonna end up getting sent out. Like somebody's gonna put that on Twitter though. Like that's the one that's gonna end up getting out there, because that's perfect. It'll be great to see you. You're doing one of the tailgates on Sunday, right? Like, you're going to be over hanging out with one of them, I think?
Yeah. I'm going to do Jimmy Seafood.
Nice.
Which, man, I haven't done it in 3 or 4 years, something like that, and it's always been a good time. I've heard they've even moved the venue to right outside the stadium.
Yeah.
It's got a great location, and they always put on a hell of a show, man. Like, it's a great way to pregame and go enjoy your Sunday.
Yeah, man, that'll be awesome for a chance for you guys to hang out with the great Jarret Johnson this Sunday. Dude, it's great to catch up with you. It's been too long, man. Best to you, brother. Look forward to seeing you out there this weekend.
Yep, sounds good. Have a good one.
Thanks, buddy. Double J, Jarret Johnson, with us here on GCRs. He's headed back to Baltimore as the Ravens will put his former teammate and draft mate, Terrell Suggs, in the Ring of Honor this weekend. Today's show, reminder, it's also brought to you by the Baltimore County Police Department, and 1 week from this Saturday is the big hiring event and community event. You're going to want to be there, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. Baltimore County Police Department is hiring, great opportunities, competitive salaries, great bonus packages, and if you just want to learn more, you can show up, ask questions, find out if there's maybe a path for you. Say, I don't know if I'm going to be a patrol officer, but there are other opportunities. You can find out about that. On that date, talk to members of the specialized units. Also, you could go through the written test, the agility test, the application process. You don't have to commit to anything, but if you think it's something you want to do, and remember, I passed the agility test. If I can, I swear to God, you can too. If you're not thinking about any of those things, you say, it's just not for me, no problem. You should still be there anyway, because it's a trunk or treat event and a chance for your kids to get their costumes on and come out and get some candy in a nice, safe environment with the Baltimore County Police Department not this Saturday, the following Saturday, the 28th, at the Public Safety Building. Find out more. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com or call 410-887-5542. Thanks today to Jarret Johnson. Thanks also to Nate Ebner as well as Ken Zalis. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, Stan the Fan will be here. I'm assuming Bo Smolka,
Yes.
Pressbox Ravens beat writer, will check in with us.
Stuff and things.
Oh boy, it's been
the burner.
It's been a rough week.
Yeah.
Thankfully, somebody was booking guests this week.
Yes, it was.
Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, the Maryland 5-Star, Guilford Hall Brewery, A.J. Michaels, the Baltimore County Police Department, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Superbook Sports, Hartford County, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Thursday night. Go Morgan football.
Go Jags for my picks.
No, we don't care about that. Duke sucks. Now we wrap up today's show, segment number 2 of the Tyus Bowser Show from Mother's North Grill earlier this week with special guest Jadeveon Clowney. Back in here for segment number 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show. That's not the right one. Let's make sure we get that one right. Let's play. That's why I always say it at the beginnings. It'd be awkward. How about this one? And welcome back into the Tyus Bowser Show, Pressbox and 105.7 The Fan. We are live at Mother's North in Timonium. Rita and Glenn, Tyus, and his special guest, Jadeveon Clowney. Man, Mother's North has a lot going on, including coming up on Friday, October 27th, a Halloween party with live music from Coconut Jack. Dress up, join the fun, costume contest, prize will be given out at 9 o'clock, Friday, October 27th. Is there a team Halloween party again this year, Tyus?
I don't know.
Trippy wants to come out.
Hey, that's out of my control, so I'm not sure.
Have we know that you did the last minute costume in the past.
I did.
That just basically involved you taking your shirt off.
Pretty much.
Which I think that most people would be in favor of you doing again.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah, right?
I've had a lot of people say that.
Yeah. Have you made a commitment to a Halloween costume this year?
I have not. I have like 3 choices.
Okay.
I have like 3 options, and I'm trying to figure out if I can get into character.
Can we like vote on it? Is that I'm
not. I like it to be a
surprise. All right, fair enough. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Can you figure out? Rita and Jadeveon are doing a show about like moisturizers. I think.
I don't know what they got.
We
going
were talking
on.
about our nail care etiquette. That's what was going on over here.
Oh man,
trying to stay right.
I think about
I just
that
would
a
like
lot.
to say that he has very clean nails. So, and Tyus always comes in with the clean nails. So that's nothing new, right? Tyus always has I be noticing you be having nice and manicured nails, and it be shiny and buffy. I always notice.
I had to take off the buff last time.
Okay.
I had a girl was like, "Ooh, those are cute." Boy, I was like,
You ain't going for that.
I said, "No, it can't
So
be cute."
For guys that play defense, because especially like you, right, with your hands like being in the, hey, that's some nice nails. That's all I'm saying.
Hands beat up. Old cricket.
Hey, right now all your fingers are in the right place. Let's try to keep it that way.
I mean, I'm trying to keep. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they get a little cricket.
Hey, I have some exciting news. Tyus Bowser is launching a foundation, ladies and gentlemen.
I am.
We've been waiting for this day, man.
We have, man.
I know you've been excited about this.
Absolutely.
You want to tell everybody about like all the that we know so far, because I know we don't know all the details yet.
Yeah.
But like, there's a big launch party coming up.
Yeah, I have a big launch party. November.
And Glenn and I will be there.
Yes.
I don't need an invite. I will show up.
I appreciate that.
Oh, okay.
I appreciate
You know Miss Wanda's showing up, too.
Oh, yeah. And you already know my mama coming, so we
Yeah.
will be there whether you get us an invite or not.
Absolutely. But,
Thank you.
It's November 17th, and mic check. Hello, we good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's November 17th, and try to invite as.
All right, we're going to have to switch mics for a second. Give Rita his mic. We'll figure out what's going on.
Mic check, all right. Hello. Hello. All right. So it's November 17th. I'm going to try to bring a ton of my teammates, try to invite them out. But it's just an opportunity for just us to try to raise money. My main focus is just aiming towards underprivileged kids and just trying to raise money for them, just giving them the opportunities, the tools needed to be successful, just like in any other area. And I just know for me personally, I came from, that side of town where, the resources was limited. And, thank God that I had, great support system, just a natural God ability, and just, just a little bit of blessing to be able to be in this position and, just to have the opportunity to, be that for the kids who are less fortunate, who are, trying to get to where I am or trying to be, the next billionaire businessman or woman, whatever the case may be. Like, I want to give them that opportunity and the tools. So whatever I can do to, make that possible for them, that's my main goal.
November 17th.
November 17th.
At the Inner Harbor Hyatt Regency.
Yes.
And in the next week, there's going to be some more details that are going to be coming out. They're going to be more official about how to get, how you can support it, tickets, all those things.
Absolutely.
And I would be paying attention to Tyus' social channels.
Oh, yeah.
For all of that.
Yeah, make sure we're going to promote that as much as possible.
I would imagine our regulars are likely to be out there to support that.
I look for that, so.
I think it's amazing. Jadeveon, you've talked about your own story. When Tyus was talking about, kids, you've talked a little bit about, growing up and your family and,
I had to start a foundation 10 years ago. It's called the HIT Foundation, Helping Time.
Can I ask you? I'm sorry, man. Can I ask you?
Okay. I had a
By the way,
foundation.
Jadeveon's at the end of the night going to be like, bro, I am sick of that dude. He's going to treat me like Vincent Smith.
Nah, he all right. I had a foundation. I started it up about 10 years ago when I first got drafted. It's called the HIT Foundation, and it's Helping Time. It's really for single family homes, because I grew up without my dad. He was incarcerated for 15 years when I was born. I didn't see him until I got into the 9th grade, and so I always try to help kids that grew up with the single family home parents, and I've been doing pretty good over 10 years of my career, giving back, having Christmas drives for kids back home, and even in the teams I've been playing for. So hopefully I can keep that going here and try to do it this year and try to give back.
That's awesome, man. We love that.
That's great.
Is there a website or anywhere that we could point people to if they wanted to support what you're doing?
I'm going to get it set up here, man. I got to talk to my foundation leader, my mom, and them, and try to get it back going the way I want it going. Because since when I got hurt the year before, I kind of fell off of it a little bit. So I just want to get it back going the way I usually been doing it myself, donation, all my money out my pocket, just really taking care of kids. I do Christmas drives back home every year. I just give like 50 grand and bring out like random drawings for kids in my neighbor city, and just been doing that. Then I did it in Cleveland twice, and just going in my pockets, really doing it. And I've been blessed to make pretty penny in the National Football League. So it really haven't been bothering me $20,000 or $30,000 a year just doing that. I kind of enjoy it myself.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, so Rita read ahead a little bit at the beginning of the show. This was the portion.
We're gonna have to share this mic. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yes, I did. We were supposed to talk about the hit now, but I was so excited about it because I still remember it like it was yesterday that I wanted to talk about it then.
So
I'm sorry.
Because Rita already handled it, this is the only thing I'll follow up with. Is there any other hit that you've had in your life that you would say, like, I actually think that one was better? I think that one was.
I hit a guy in Tennessee when I was playing in college, and I hit a guy for the Atlanta Falcons, like my rookie year, I caught real good, a couple hits, and I was like, them probably was good, better hits, harder, but the helmet just didn't come off.
There's nothing like it. There's nothing.
Nothing like that.
That's the only thing kept it from not making it big. I've been trying ever since to get another one of them hits.
Oh, of course. As soon as one mic starts working, the other mic.
Yo,
All
yeah.
right.
Hopefully I catch somebody this season and make ESPN.
Now, you know you can't do that no more, right?
I know, right?
Tyus,
Something close to it, though.
what is your all-time favorite hit? Like, of yours? What is the one that, like, you enjoyed? We remember you got the pick against Ben Roethlisberger, and you talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
But what about as far as a hit's concerned? Is there one for you in your career that stands out the most?
I ain't really just been like a hard hitter like that. I just try to be technique sound and get them down. That's been my mindset. But I can't really just think of a big hit. I can't think of a big hit. But I would probably say the Texans during 2020. Tight end caught a ball like right around like the hashes, went downfield and did like a spin. And didn't even see me, and I just went shoulder first right into his chest.
What is that feeling like? Like
it feels good, man. It feels good to catch somebody slipping. That feels good. I can also say I actually just thought about this. The Cleveland game. It was the night where I pretty much had those two defend, and Baker Mayfield was doing the play action, and he came around and was pretty much trying to set up for a pass, and I was just full speed ahead at his chin, and I didn't stop, and I got a flag for it, but when I looked at it, I hit him like right in his chest, and it was just the impact was so hard that his head went back. But that was definitely a hit that I remember that felt really good.
My favorite one was when you came back from injury last year in the Saints game. You had your first sack. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was there to see that, and I was the one screaming
Hold
like
on,
a proud auntie.
Saints? You said the Saints?
Yeah.
I didn't have a sack during the Saints.
Yes,
That was.
You did have a sack.
Oh boy,
Not
this is
during the
awkward now.
Saints.
Huh?
Not during the Saints game.
You did, or did you have a hurry? I could have sworn it was a sack.
It was a hurry.
I thought you finished it.
I finished them. I remember that.
Okay.
That was that first third down.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
It wasn't a sack though.
Oh,
it was
okay.
almost a sack.
Okay, well, I thought
he threw it away. He got
was
scared.
A sack,
He got scared.
and I felt like a proud auntie out there. I was like, "Look at Tyus
Yeah.
back in old form."
I know.
It
It
was
felt
good
good.
to see you back that
I
day.
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
What about for you when you get a hit like that? Like, how do you describe the feeling of, yo, that was as clean as it gets?
I be really trying to go for the kill shots. That's my problem. Every hit, I want it to be a big hit. So, I'm always out there trying to look somebody up, even if it's a tight end or pulling guard or anybody. I'm just trying to chin check them and just see how tough they is, trying to get up on their chin. And I tell them guys, man, them guys don't want to be physical no more. The physical days are over with.
Yeah.
That's when I first came into the National Football League. They had fullbacks on the roster. They was real physical. Now it's like, ain't nobody trying to be physical no more. The game is kind of a lot lighter.
We are going to talk about that. By the way, how long after the hit in the bowl game did you realize, like, oh my God, dopes are going to be asking me about this for 20 years? Like, I'm be sitting and doing a radio show in Baltimore a decade from now.
I never thought I was going to go this crazy.
Yeah?
No, but when it happened, everybody was like, man, you don't know what you just did. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to win a game. I want that ball so bad.
Not
I
even
wanted that
thinking
ball
about it.
back. So
That's
it
crazy.
was just
Is there a
crazy.
more iconic hit, Tyus? Like,
I still remember where I was at when I seen that
Really?
hit. Yeah, I was at home like with my parents watching that game, and I was actually going for Michigan. I was going for Michigan.
oh boy.
It's crazy
But
because
when I seen that hit, I was like, yeah, this is.
it's crazy.
It was
I'm
crazy.
in like year 10, and I got kids on the team be like first year rookie, and they be like, man, I was in middle school when you made that hit in
Yeah.
high school. I'm like
for
am I
real.
getting that old now? I'm like, God, time fly, but
Yeah.
it definitely changed my life.
Talk about that though, real quick. you are essentially a veteran at this point, right? So how?
I don't think it's essentially.
Yeah.
10 good years. 10 good years. It's been
You
a lot of
are
ups
a
and downs.
veteran
Yes.
on this team, and it is a lot of youth on this team. So how do you communicate with the young guys, or how does that work for you?
Man, I just try to listen to their music, stay young, play around
Well,
with
what
them.
music do you listen to?
Rap, R&B, just the young stuff, everything. just try to listen to whatever they put on. I try to learn. Be like, man, I'm trying to stay young, man. Stay in this thing.
Tyus is actually struggling with that too now.
Yeah, the
he's on your
conversation's
side.
changing now. You know, it's
hard.
everything different, man. I was the guy asking the questions. Now everybody asking me the questions. It's like a revolving door. Like, it's crazy, but I enjoy it. It's like, man, you the OG. Everybody be like, I'm like, man, hold up. I'm 30 years old. I don't know why this but I've been called for the last 2 years in the league. I'm like, God, I'm not old. I don't think so, but I guess when after like year 6 or 7, you be like the OG on the team. So it's fun. I'm just glad to still be doing this in 10 years, man. Some people's careers get cut so short. And the career I had to come off to start my career hurt after my first game and tear my knee up. Of my career, I had a microfracture, and then to play 9 good years after that, it's been a blessing, and I enjoy every minute of it.
It's awesome. Hey, what company has the expertise and technology to make your home substantially more energy efficient, comfortable, and even virus-free? It's AJ Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis at ajmichaels.com. Tyus Bowser Show, Press Box, 105.7 The Fan. So you talked about how football has changed.
Yeah.
Tyus, I think Rita was ready to strangle a man when Kyle Hamilton got kicked out of the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
I know what an ejection looks like, and that ain't it. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm not trying to.
I said it. I already said it. You
Rita's saying on
you
that
can
part.
blink twice if you agree.
But the way that football has changed is more what I wanted to talk about so that we don't get you in trouble.
Yeah.
They're also now looking, what is it, the hip drop tackle?
Yeah.
Is now the NFL's looking to get rid of that.
The who?
The hip drop tackle?
Oh, what Matabike be doing?
No, Matabike was full body weight, right?
Yeah, Matabike was full
yeah,
body weight.
Matabike was full body weight. That was different.
They make it
so
hard.
It's a tackle, man. I mean, it's a tackle. Yeah,
That's what I'm like. Are we at a point now where it's like impossible?
Yeah, pretty much.
To hit the quarterback, anyways, because you can't hit them above in the head, and you can't hit them below the waist, like in their legs. So that's like a flag. So it's like really like you got to be soft with them guys. You can't fall on them. That's why I'm missing so much. You feel me? I'd rather lay on them. I'd rather just smack them and get it over with. But you just got to tackle them a proper way now. You can't fall to the side. I feel like you can hurt yourself
You
more
have to
now.
gently lay him down, tuck him into bed.
Yeah.
Get him some hot tea.
I think
It's
Kevin
not
Hart
like
did a
it
little
normally
thing
was.
like
Yeah,
that.
I think he did.
Game changing. Like I said, the physicality of the game definitely has been toned down. Them guys getting paid $200 million now. So it's like, we don't want y'all to hurt them. Everybody want to see them on Sundays. Like, everybody play to see their quarterback play. But they hurt the defensive linemen and the guys that's trying to get them because we don't want to get hurt trying to tackle them. Like, we trying to twist our body tackling them. I see guys tear their ACLs, hurt their knees and ankles trying to protect the quarterback. And it's kind of hard, but it's not going to change.
How do you, in the moment, like, do you even have to think about it? Like, do you just have to say, dude, I'm going to go hit this dude, and if they throw a flag on me, they throw a flag on me, so be it.
I want my sack, so it's like I better not mess this up. Like I get there, I don't do all this work to get there and get him down and get a flag for them to take it away. So it's like that's a fine line. I'm like, let me get there. Okay, let me slow down and tackle him. Not miss, but let me take him to the ground the proper way without a flag. It's crazy. It's a different game.
Have you ever missed one because you're like,
Yeah. I missed at least like 2 of them where I'm like, I need to make sure that I need to turn this certain type of way, or I got to put both of my hands down so I'm not putting my entire body weight on the quarterback. And it was just
all of a sudden you turn around, you're like,
flag, or he's gone. He done figured out a way to get out of it. And it's like, man, forget this, man. I'm just going to have to hit him at this point. Like, it is what it is.
Jadeveon, you guys used to have to go after Lamar Jackson.
Man. Hey, that's what I told him when I got here. I said, I'm 30 years old now, man. I ain't like I used to be, so I ain't got to chase you no more. That's a tough task, going into the game. You game playing for somebody who can, no matter where you at, he can juke you, get away from you. It's like, it was a hard task all these years playing against that guy, but now that I'm here, I love to watch other people do it. It's like, I know I'm going to get a first down out of him. Like, I don't have to worry about nothing. Yeah, see, he done pulled it up on me. See, I remember that. And the thing is, the backup is just the same. Like, we played against him. I was like, man, them boys they got nice feet on them, man. It's a team effort when you're tackling them. We all need to be there. I need help.
Yeah,
everybody. Come on. So I always tell them, come with me. Hurry up, get here, because I don't want to look bad. I don't want to be on the ground, but I done probably ended up on the ground like 2 or 3 times playing against him, trying to get them legs, but great quarterback. That's why he get paid what he paid.
No doubt, man. No doubt. All right, make some more noise for Tyus Bowser, Jadeveon Clowney. Hey, Rita, you asked for it, and Grade 8's Memorabilia has made it happen as they are hosting a Beyonce brunch.
Beyonce! I'm excited.
Saturday, December 2nd at Horizon Cinemas Aberdeen, including a private screening of the Renaissance movie, a catered brunch, a Beyonce karaoke contest.
I'm winning that, baby.
What's your go-to?
That's over. That's over.
What you doing?
Because nobody is beating me, okay?
What are you doing?
I'm going to sing Resentment. I'm going to sing it down to the ground. Nobody is beating me. I am a karaoke queen, by the way. Nobody in here wants to see me. Just understand, I will beat you at karaoke.
If the Ravens
personal, huh?
If the Ravens win the Super Bowl, you're gonna come back and do it live on the Tyus Bowser.
I will do a full concert. All the songs y'all want me to do, I will do it. I will dress up. I will do like Prince and I will do everything. Whatever y'all want, I got it.
Plus glam sessions, popcorn and drinks. Get your tickets. Grade8smemorabilia.com with the number 8. When we come back in, we will look ahead to Detroit on Sunday. And I got to get Tyus' thoughts on the new Drake album. We haven't had a chance to talk about it yet.